Willie O'Ree gets honored in Boston, surprising rookies and teams. The NWHL begins play. Blockbuster is still a thing in 2021, and the Blackhawks grab their first win in the home opener. All of this, plus much more, coming up on the Cannons and Tomahawks Podcast.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.
What is up, guys? It is episode 3 of the Cannons and Tomahawks Podcast. We are finally back. It's me, Alex, the cool one, the Blue Jackets fan, and Zach. I think you got a surprise for us, don't you?
Yeah, man, I'm actually really excited to we have our first guest, and I listened to his podcast for a good number of years now, and I'm just really excited to have him on. And we got Jonnie Nonnie from the Four Feathers podcast, on Tap Sports and all that good stuff, man. So I'm just really excited to have this guy on. Johnny, man, how are you doing tonight? And thanks for jumping on the podcast with us.
Hey guys, thank you for inviting me on. Always down to come on and talk hockey here. But like I said, just interacted with you guys fairly recently at the beginning of this NHL season. Quick bond there, and then you reached out and asked me to jump on. More than happy to jump on all day here for the Hawks, and Jackets played earlier today. But a lot of good topics on tap.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, we have a lot of good stuff going on. Alex mentioned right before the music started and stuff like that. We're talking about Willie O'Ree, talking about the NWHL, talking about Blue Jackets, the big blockbuster that happened. Blackhawks finally got their first win of the season. So let's just jump into the show, man. And the first thing we're going to talk about, Willie O'Ree is finally going to get his number retired, his number 22 by the Boston Bruins on February 18th. And honestly, this is well beyond due. I'm finally glad the Bruins have finally done something, I guess, right, because you've seen everything in the news that they don't want to pay their workers and a bunch of other stuff. So for the fact they finally honored Willie O'Ree and retired his number for breaking the barrier in hockey, I think honestly it's about time. I mean, Alex, what are your thoughts on this, man? About this,
100% well deserved. I mean, the fact that they've thrown their franchise in the dump, hanging out with Marchand for so many years. So it's finally good that they're doing something right. But yeah, I mean, he broke the color barrier for hockey. I mean, he didn't have the longest career in the world, but it was only 45 games. But it's just
ridiculous.
It's just like Jackie Robinson. You start and you're the first person of color to get into a league that is at that point in time is predominantly white, and it changes everything for everybody. It changes a lot of stuff for guys like Ryan Reeves and Seth Jones and, Evander Kane and Matt Dumba. It's a special moment for those guys for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Johnny, what are your thoughts on this, man? I know, us being Blackhawks guys, but, just the NHL, finally doing something for Willie. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, very well overdue on this one, but also, like Alex said, very well deserved too. So I'm definitely glad they're doing it. I guess my only gripe is that it's the Bruins. I know that's who he played for, but I just don't like the Bruins. So I guess that's whatever thought there. But you see on MLK Day there was the hockey all day. They started in the afternoon and had games like a quadruple header going through. At the intermissions of all of those, they had highlight videos and stories from both Willie and then other people surrounding the team that talked about him, and people in hockey media. So it's cool because it also, for the symbolism of that, the breaking the barrier there. That's obviously the main reason behind it, but then also just kind of the spread of knowledge to maybe your average hockey fan that wouldn't know about him before that. So yeah, definitely well overdue and well deserved.
Yeah, I know, definitely for sure. So, great for Willie. Like we said, February 18th, Boston's going to retire his number. I kind of wish it was more in front of their fans so everyone can appreciate him and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess now is better than never, I guess.
Yeah.
But, it's Boston.
I get it during
what it
Black
is.
History Month. It makes sense. But, do what Tampa did. Reveal the banner and then move it up. Hang it in the rafters when you have fans.
There you go. Yeah,
It's,
that's one way to do it.
I don't understand, and I don't really agree with doing these big special events when you don't have fans there. I mean, Tampa revealing their Stanley Cup banner, I get that. It was boring, but it was still, I understand why. You don't have any fans. It sucks. The players don't like it. They want to be hearing everyone cheering, and it's dead silent in the arena, other than the fake crowd noise, which they know is not real. So
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. I'm happy for him. I really am. And I'm happy for Boston that they're getting that done. But I hope that something changes and they're able to do that in front of fans.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tack on with, I hope they do 2-parters, like Alex had mentioned, for all of these, for like a Stanley Cup banner, something like that. Obviously, fans want to see that. And then something, like a jersey retirement, whether it be, for the Bruins, what they're doing for O'Ree, if any other teams decide that they're retiring numbers, do the reveal, and then you can have the video to share to social media, and it'll be on the broadcast, but then do the actual ceremony part more so. Again, run it back when there's fans there. I think they could, kind of 2-part those. So you get the honor out there, and you want it publicized first, and then it'll be also kind of an attraction to come and see then when they do have any special events like that. So I think that's just how you have to manage with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Totally agree with that.
So next there are 7 coaching staffs that are currently working at reduced salaries to be able to help with the COVID pandemic and to be able to have more of a income coming into their team. So we have the Anaheim Ducks. Their coaching staff is working at a 20% reduction for salaries of $75,000 to $250,000, and then increasing to 25% anything over $250,000. The Columbus Blue Jackets, all of the coaching staff effective, this is going back to October 15th, is working at a 20% reduction. The Red Wings are at a 20% reduction for all staff over $75,000, effective January 9th until July 1st. The Oilers, the top 3 coaches deferred 25% to be repaid in the future when fans return to the arena. The remainder of the coaching staff is back to full pay. For other team employees, 25% reduction for salaries of $150,000 or more, 15% reduction for salaries $100 to $150, and then 10% for any salaries under $100. Kings, 20% deferral for all staff that will be repaid when fans return. Minnesota Wild, a 20% reduction of everyone over $150K. The Canadians, a 20% reduction from October 1st through January 2nd when full salaries are reinstated. So they're back to full salary. So they did it for 2 months, which I think is stupid. But and then the Predators, they're operating at their salary rate from 2019-2020. They forewent scheduled salary increases for this season. Again, these guys aren't getting a 25% raise. They're probably getting a 2 or 3%. So I don't know why you can't go without a 20%, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at least they're doing something, I guess, because I know Gary Bettman, we talked about last week how he was like, we'd rather, shut the doors than play, but that, everyone else wanted to play because I think it was like $1 billion loss or something like that. So, I mean, at least the teams are trying, I guess, somewhat save money in some ways. But of course, we know they got all the logos and banners of sponsors and stuff. So, I mean, it's good that some teams are doing it. I mean, some teams, they're deferring, or some teams are like, no, we're still paying our guys regardless. At least it's something. At least teams are trying to make this work.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad to see him having all the advertisements in the the digital advertisements that they're putting up, and on the seat covers they have them
Yeah.
going too. I mean, Johnny, what do you think about all that stuff going on with all the
Yeah,
advertisements?
I think it's subjective. Each team has to figure out where they're at and adjust accordingly. And obviously, maybe there's some teams that aren't doing that as thoroughly as they should. But the ones that are, you listed off all the different details for different teams. Like there's tiers of it up in Edmonton, and then there's just like flat. All coaches are on 20% for others. So. I mean, like I said, it just is up to each team, I guess. And there's no, I guess, mandate to really that you have to do this, but it's just a money saving thing. And then, finding, like you had mentioned on the ads, I don't like the look of the helmet ads, but I totally understand it, and I'm fine with it as long as it's going to keep hockey on the ice here in 2021. So, like I said, it's a tough situation, but everybody's got to navigate the pandemic as they see fit. And, hopefully we can just get through this and get everything back to normal, hopefully by sometime later in this year, early next year, probably more so what it's looking like.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, hey, at least the United logos on the Blackhawk helmets actually work compared to Pittsburgh with their PPG, which is absolutely humongous. And it's like, really, you couldn't?
Yeah.
Well,
Not have
the
a
color
background.
doesn't even make sense. Like, the Penguins are white, yellow, and black, and then they have the PPG logo, which is giant and like bright blue. Why? That should be on the Blue Jackets.
Because it's their actual logo is blue, but it's like you could have tweaked it a little bit to match the colors or something. Like make it black with the white letters. Like it's so huge.
Well, I mean, look at like Colorado. Theirs is, I think, Bell, if I remember correctly.
It's them and Ottawa both have the same. I think they both have the same sponsor. Yeah,
and
Bell.
they're for their home and away helmets, and Colorado has these new helmets with their new uniform looks this year. They're all different colors. Like it's the exact same logo, and the colors have nothing to do with the actual company, but they made it so they match well with the uniforms.
Yeah,
not what Pittsburgh did, because they're a bunch of idiots, as everyone in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are. But man, I don't know. It just looks ridiculous.
I just have to say real quick, the Avalanche jerseys, the pants and the helmets are horrendous with their look this year. Like, why all the blue? That's too much. It's too much blue for me.
I could see him upping to the lighter blue on the jersey, but they like the red pants better. The blue pants are just a little off-putting. I guess maybe it's also a fact of watching them in the red, the kind of maroonish for so long, but the blue just looks off on the pants. I could deal with there's other teams that have got like the Blues tonight wearing their alternate lighter blue shade than their normal kind of royalish blue. That's fine for and that's kind of the same color that Colorado has then, but there's too much of it on the pants. So that's just my take on it.
Well, it's the Blues. They do too much of anything. So I mean,
yeah. I don't mind the Avs uniforms. Quick shout out to Matt Calvert rocking the pink visor. I know he has to for
that was dope. That was dope.
He's had too many concussions, so he has to wear the pink. But he can pull it off. So
hey, pink visors. Yeah, I'm all here for the different colored visors. I mean, I wish more guys would do it, honestly, because it's kind of nice. I would like a little more diversity, or a little more some unique with different guys instead of just the clear ones and that's it. Like I'm all here for a little uniqueness. I mean, Ovi had the smoke one for a while, so let's go for it.
I don't know if you guys watch Letterkenny at all, but Shorzy's visor, the complete blacked out football style one, just hilarious. That'd be hilarious to watch.
That would be so great.
Oh my god!
I don't know if you guys watched Barred Down, but they were doing this video where they were just goofing around with that really
chrome one.
The chrome glass. Oh, that was rough, but you're like, all right.
Well, they made him go out with ridiculous stuff. They had white skates, that chrome visor. They got his stick and cut the tip of it off and filled it with water and threw the tip back on. And the stick was like 4 times heavier than it should have been. That was a pretty good episode. It was pretty funny.
That was pretty nice. So speaking, we got some injuries, unfortunately. Joe Thornton and Patrick Laine are both on the IR, and you're one of those guys is now a part of your team, Alex. How do you feel about Patrick Laine going on the IR, and you guys just traded for him?
I'm not worried about it. I am not worried about it. As far as I'm concerned, he got a paper cut on his elbow and said, "Hey, I need to go on IR," knowing he was going to get traded, and He'll be ready to go. It's
Hey,
not
there you
long
go.
term. I'll touch a lot more on that later. And then,
Mhm.
obviously Joe Thornton at the brisk age of 216 is sitting on the IR with, I'm sure, a thrown out hip or something. I have no idea.
It actually
Yeah.
could be. I saw the play that he got injured. He got crunched along the boards. It
Yeah,
definitely could be a hip injury.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's different when you're playing out west in California where you guys don't really hit a whole lot. Welcome to Canada where you're going to get absolutely smoked by almost
Oh, yeah.
everyone. So, I mean, that's the difference with playing in Canada compared to playing in California. So,
Sure. Yeah. And if you guys have been following our Twitter, you would know that Zach and I have been excited. The National Women's Hockey League began today with a bunch of games in Lake Placid. Zach, what's up, man? That was exciting to watch some of those today.
yeah, they were fun. They're at the Herbrooks Arena where the 1980 Miracle game happened with the United States and the then Soviet Russia. So it's really cool. And they're all on twitch.tv/NWHL. And it's been a lot of fun, man, just watching all the games. We had Toronto 6 against the Metropolitan. Oh, shoot. I'm bad on I just forgot the name. Yeah. So, and then we got Boston and Minnesota. And then right now, I think the game is about ready to end. It was between Connecticut and Buffalo. And yeah, really exciting games. It's really cool to see, see them do that. The camera angles are really nice. I mean, the graphics are sleek, man. I mean, they've really upped their game. The commentators are really nice. I kind of like the fact they also have like the lavender center ice color and the goalposts are lavender because they're doing a lot of hockey fights breast cancer stuff. So the fact they kind of like colored the ice differently, it's really good. And I mean, the games were pretty solid in my opinion. And I know on Twitter, a lot of people are like, "Oh, there's no hitting in women's hockey," and dude, there's bodies flying all day.
Laid out.
There's even a penalty for body checking in that the Boston game today. I saw that.
Yeah, that one and the Toronto 6 one too. The Toronto 6 game, that was a massive hit right in front of the blue line because one girl wasn't even looking and she just got creamed. And they're like, I guess we kind of have to call this because because body checking is a penalty in women's hockey, but she got smoked. I'm like, all right. I mean, it's fun. I mean, the social media teams are really good, and it's unfortunate because I picked the Toronto 6 as my team, and they did lose 3-0, but the score kind of doesn't match how the game was because it was actually really close. It was 2-0 from the first period on until the empty netter. And I mean, Toronto, they did have 40 shots on goal. So it wasn't like they gave up and they were peppering the goalie. It's just unfortunately, Metropolitan's goalie was just standing on her head the whole game. And I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, it was Toronto's first game ever, and they've only practiced like maybe 9 even 10 times since the start.
It was,
so, I mean, for
their first game, it was a good one. I mean, they looked
for sure. Yeah, definitely. And I know, Alex, your team is Minnesota, and I know you're pretty happy with how that game played out.
Yeah, the Whitecaps beat the Boston Pride 2-1. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, this was actually supposed to be 2020 Isabel Cup Finals, and of course that got canceled, and everyone's kind of bummed about that. I could see why, because that game was physical and should be from the start, really close the whole way, and it's just, it kind of stinks that that game never got played, but it showed just like who the teams are that everyone was really hyped to see. I mean, Boston last year was like 23-1. And it's like, all right, I would love to see the team who gave them that one loss or the fact that they ruined their perfect season too.
Yeah.
It was, and then I think the last time I checked, I think Connecticut was up 1-0 on Buffalo, and everyone's like, oh, this is like the Jersey series because the Buttes with the like big or like the light blue, and then the Whale with the green with the waves and stuff. And of course, the Whale, their goal song is the Brass Bonanza. Like,
oh, jeez.
They're tapping into that Hartford thing. I mean, Jonnie, did you catch any of the games today, man? At all?
Yeah, so I caught a decent chunk of the Minnesota-Boston game, and my comment on that was I need to give credit to Minnesota because they have done something the Blackhawks have not been able to do this year, and that is not go down and not score the first goal and then come back and win the game. So credit to Minnesota for that, and I believe that was a little bit of an upset there. But then I didn't get a chance to. Obviously, the later games going on right now as we're recording. I did not get to tune into the early one, but definitely it's on Twitch. I saw you tweeting the links out, so then I got that bookmark now, the NWHL Twitch channel. So I'll definitely check more of them out. It's cool, bubble setup, just kind of running right through. So you can now, obviously today was the first day, so even if you jump in on day 2, you're still pretty fresh into it. Definitely recommend it. Hey, I'm all for more hockey, whatever it is.
For sure.
How many times have I found myself late at night watching VHL games on some stream sites that's a little sketchy, looking for more hockey. So it's cool to have that, and it's nice it's on Twitch. It's kind of easy to access on phone, mobile, and on your computer. You can throw it up on a screen and keep doing work on your laptop. So definitely excited to tune into more of these.
Yeah, because I know the first game they had like 7,000 people watching that game from like 20 different countries, and I think it was for the way they're doing it, it's like Twitch for most of the bubble, and then the semifinals and the finals on NBCSN. But yeah, 3 games today, 3 games tomorrow. I mean, me and Alex's teams go against each other at 1:00, so that there's gonna be a lot of trash talking on Twitter between the both of us, probably.
Get spanked.
Oh,
Going
okay,
down.
whatever. So yes, it's just 2 weeks. Yeah, February 5th is the final, so which is on a Friday night. So that's gonna be a fun one on national TV.
Yeah,
NBCSN. All right, let's go. I mean, it's gonna be fun. I'm really excited. So it's
It'll be
awesome
pretty
to see
cool.
the women doing that, getting a chance to play.
I'm glad that the first day they started playing, they had so many people tuning in from all over the world. I mean, it's really cool to see that because, it does not get the recognition that it should. Obviously, it's not going to get as much as the NHL or a lot of the male professional sports, but it's still a professional league. The WNBA gets kind of shafted from time to time, no pun intended. Just because it's overshadowed by the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. Because I know the NBA I know they're mostly funding it, and I know there was I know the big thing that's going on right now with the women's game is the fact that the PWHPA or something like that, they want to get the NHL to fund to help like do what the WNBA is doing. I guess it's kind of like a little bit different with how the NHL and the NBA are doing their things. And this is something that I found really interesting. This is from I'm sorry I'm gonna pronounce her name wrong. I think it's Laine Strollo on Twitter, and she says it's really interesting to hear Erica shout out. Erica was she was a color commentator for the Twitch games today. Shout out like 20 plus countries viewers are watching the WHL from. Meanwhile, the NHL is sucking dry any opportunity to watch their games, whether it be blackout restrictions or NBC shutting down. Which, I mean, she's not wrong. I mean, why are we having blackouts when no
one
fans
can go to arenas? Yeah, no one can go to any arenas. Why on earth are we having blackouts? This would be a year to not have to worry about those at all. Like, you know what? We're going to remove these and make it so that your blackouts are not an issue. On top of having all of the issues, especially like with Sinclair, all of the Fox Sports regional sports channels, there's so many issues that people aren't getting them on YouTube TV anymore or Hulu or anything like that because they're a bunch of greedy idiots that think they need more money than they should.
Oh, the Avalanche are getting absolutely screwed out of Altitude and Kroenke because fans in Colorado came and watched their team play on their regional networks. It's an absolute joke. I mean, Johnny, what are your thoughts, man? Like, how crazy is the fact that the NHL is absolutely just crap in the bed with the blackouts still when you're paying like $100 for NHL TV and whatever else, and then you got NBC Sports shutting down, but you got the NWHL is getting like 20 countries watching their games at 1, 4, and 7 on a Saturday, and these people are probably like 5-6 hours different ahead of us on the East Coast, and they're watching these games at like 7 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. Like, what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, so I mean, it's ridiculous. First of all, I mean, in a season like you guys said, in a season where you can't have fans there, why the hell would you have blackout restrictions? But then, second of all, the local whatever, if you have the local option, say you have NBC Sports Chicago here in this region. I basically have to be in front of the TV or I'm not going to get it because the NBC app is so shoddy. It's like, it'll say, oh, choose your TV provider. Okay, choose that, Uverse. No, guess what? It won't like connect to it and just won't let you. And then you're just like shit out of luck. So agree with you guys. It's ridiculous. It's not helping grow the game by any means, when that's what they need to be doing if they want to get back to status of financial recovery from COVID. So
Yeah.
they're not doing themselves any favors. Let's say that.
Yeah, because I know they're doing NBC Sports Network is down. Did they say anything about NBC Sports Chicago? Because unfortunately, I live in South Carolina, so I have to get NHL TV every year to watch games because I'm in Carolina territory. So I mean, that's all the games I get. So I mean, have they said anything about NBC Sports Chicago if they're dumping that, or are they keeping that? I haven't heard anything about that.
That's a really good question, actually. I'm not sure as of right now. The only news that came out was the report that NBCSN, the television channel, is scheduled to shut down by the end of 2021, and some of it will move over to USA. If you remember, in the playoffs when there's a bunch of games going on, they have some on USA and then some on NBCSN, others on NBC, whatever it may be, the combination of that. So some of that's going to USA, and then they didn't comment, at least the initial reports. Maybe we'll have more more information on that as the year progresses here, but hopefully it doesn't affect those. Otherwise it's gonna have another instance of shooting themselves in the foot if you can't give your product to your fans.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people have cable or satellite, so if you don't have USA and stuff like that, how are you going to watch these games? It's just that's just so dumb. Makes no sense.
NBC's trying to drive stuff to their Peacock streaming service, because everyone wants to chip in that. They want to compete, have their own. So they started that. They have The Office. That's their kind of big jump off point. But a buddy of mine who's a big soccer fan said they've been airing some English Premier League on there. But for the most part, it's behind a paywall. There's some free, but some behind a paywall. So they want to get people over to that, which sucks. Yeah.
So this whole thing, it's just so stupid, and it shows that like what Leanne said, NHL is shooting itself in the foot, making it really hard for fans to watch games unless you pay money to see teams at all. And of course, some are getting blackouts, and you got the NWHL's like, yeah, you don't have to pay, just sub or just watch for free, and we'll get the views. And it's like you got 20 countries. It's crazy, but I'm just glad the NWHL is getting this chance to do something, and the fact that from what I've seen on Twitter, everyone's loving it right now. So, especially during like the afternoon games and the night games that are going on now, especially with the NHL playing, it's pretty cool to see that a lot of people are kind of rallying behind this.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I love that these girls are getting the recognition they deserve, and I mean they're working hard out there. They're busting their ass on the ice and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. It's really nice to see that. For those of you listening, if anyone's curious, at least up through, I would say, the end of Tuesday, there is a game tomorrow on Sunday, January 24th at 1 p.m. That is Minnesota and Toronto. Another one on Sunday at 4 p.m., another one at 7 p.m. There's no games on Monday. There is a game on Tuesday, the 26th at 5:30 p.m. These are all Eastern Standard Time. And there is another one at 8:30 p.m. between Boston and Toronto. And you can find all of these games right now up until, as Zach said, the semifinals and the finals. You can find everything on twitch.tv/NWHL.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this, too, is the fact that the women are actually going to pay their full salaries at the bubble, and the women who had to opt out for other work reasons, because unfortunately they're not professionals. They actually also have day jobs, too, outside of playing hockey. So the league is still going to pay them their full salary, the salaries for the people in the bubble and the ones who opted out too. So that's kind of cool for the fact that, and this was the league coming to the Players Association and said, hey, we're going to do this regardless. Like, you don't have to worry about fighting for it. So it's nice to see that the league is like, don't worry, we're going to take care of you if you're either at the bubble or you can't because of other reasons, life. So that wanted to shout that out, that the fact that the league is like, we got you, you're good. So
sure.
Yeah.
What do you feel about the jerseys?
Honestly, league wide, I think all the jerseys are pretty nice. I mean, I don't really think there's a bad one. If we're talking home roads, I know Toronto's the only team with a third. I know everyone else just has two jerseys, as far as I know. I mean, I know on their websites you mostly just see a lot of two jerseys, but like I said, Toronto's got the three. I know we kind of had a little, beef about it on Twitter about which one was the best. So, Alex, I'm curious to see where would you rank your 1 through 6 of NWHL jerseys as a whole, not just the home or roads, but just the overall combination of all the teams' jerseys?
Geez, I'd say number 6 would probably be the Buttes. The Buffalo. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't stand out a ton.
The black ones are pretty nice. I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta admit those black jerseys are pretty nice. The light blue ones are a little too blue for me.
Let's see. 5. I've got the Riveters. It's a pretty sweet logo, especially for the women's league. And the jersey's pretty cool. But again, number 4, I'd probably
the striped sleeves. The striped sleeves on the home ones are kind of odd looking.
Yeah. Number 4, I'd probably have to go with Boston. The Boston Pride. Those are, I mean, they're kind of reminiscent of the Bruins jerseys, but not a ton.
Yeah.
Then Connecticut. And number 2, I've got the Toronto 6. They are pretty cool, but they're not better than the Minnesota Whitecaps jerseys. And I put out something on Twitter earlier this week, and everyone that responded agreed with me that Minnesota's were better. So
everyone I interact with, it's like, oh, I think I'm going to be a Minnesota fan. I'm like, is there anyone else not a Minnesota fan? Like, jeez.
Well,
James Naveau of NBC Sports Chicago and Madhouse Podcast, he's like, oh, I think I might go for Minnesota. I'm like, James, what are you doing?
I mean, you got to remember Toronto, like especially with Toronto.
I know.
It's their first season. Now, it's Toronto, so I'm shocked that they didn't have a team before. They may have and it went away, but
the CWHL, the Canadian Women's Hockey League, they actually had Markham and they had a Toronto team. Of course, that whole league folded. So
yeah,
there you go. So Ontario actually had 2 teams.
Yeah. Well, Johnny, what do you think about the jerseys?
Yeah, so I was kind of scrolling through them because I haven't seen every team in action and like the updated ones this year because some of the jerseys that I found online were old, but I tried to go through and look at them. So I can't give you a full 1 through 6, but the ones that stood out to me, Toronto's are very cool. Kind of gives me Senators vibes a little bit, but they did the black and red really well. Unfortunately, I know you talked about the alternate earlier. Just doesn't do it for me. A little too busy on the maybe it looks different on the ice, but just from the still image on the graphic. Wasn't a fan of the white one, but the black and red, very cool. But I will give the top spot to the Connecticut Whale. I'm a sucker for the Whalers, whole color scheme. I like that they're diving into that. The little wave on the bottom of the green jersey is cool. I think the white one actually looks the best though. But I really like those ones. So I'm excited to see those on the ice actually.
The funny thing is the smile in the whale smile is actually a hockey stick, which is a nice little subtle thing.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I would say for me, I think the Riveters is kind of like it's 6 for me. I mean, the jerseys are kind of nice, but the striped sleeves on the home ones kind of throw me off. It's kind of weird. The fact that it's plain white down the middle, but you got the sleeves on the side. I wish they kind of did like they striped the whole jersey or did like maybe a couple stripes with the whole sleeve, kind of a throw off a little bit. Boston Pride's is 5, way too much Boston Bruins look for me. It's okay. It just seems kind of bland. 4, I would say I have to say Minnesota's because I'm sorry, that the all black road jersey is okay, but I don't see why everyone's so appealed with I think it's the home jersey with the fact that the bottom it's got like the lakes and the trees. I get that, but the road all black with just the logo does nothing for me. It's just like they put all the effort into their homes and not their roads. I would say the Buffalo Buttes get 3 just because the fact that the black jerseys are so nice because just how they did the sleeves and the borders on the bottom. It looks nice. Connecticut Whales 2, like what Johnny said, just the wave and the whale and the overall the home and road combos are just really nice. And then obviously Toronto 6. Just how they did the red and blacks really work out well. And I mean, I can understand what the whites are because it's kind of odd, just all the stuff's going behind it. But the fact that you got, the Leafs and the, it says Toronto underneath it. I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of unique. The fact that it's got that nice, just how they kind of incorporated the 6 in that. So, but overall, I think great list. I think, it's interesting just how all the jerseys are. I mean, they're really nice. I mean, they're honestly, some of them are a lot better than NHL jerseys, but that's another thing for another time. But no, the NWHL are pretty solid jerseys for the women's league.
Really if you guys have seen it, go ahead and hit us up on Twitter. Let us know what you think about those and let us know or why you think Minnesota is better than every other team and why you think they're going to win the cup. So,
You won one game. You win one game. You think you're going to win the Isabel Cup?
hey, I'm a Blue Jackets fan. I have to take it as it comes. Okay, deal with it.
yeah. It's not every day you get to see your team lift three Stanley Cups in your lifetime in the span of 6 years. So I mean,
I guess along those lines, I'm a Patriots fan, so I've seen 6 Super Bowls. I could go the rest of my life without ever seeing one again. I'm still happy, so I don't want to hear it.
I mean, I'm from Ohio, so I can't really speak much for the Browns. So.
So coming up next, we're going to talk about our surprise teams and players coming up with the league this week. So right now, I mean, there's not much to talk about. If you guys are paying attention to anything in the hockey in the hockey world, you're going to know why. My 2 big surprise teams are the Minnesota Wild and the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens are destroying everybody. I don't understand why. Tyler Toffoli is insane.
He is just crapping all over the Canucks in that series.
Oh,
I mean, I picked Montreal to finish second in the North, so it's not really a surprise. I mean, they're kind of loaded with, again, Josh Anderson. They got, Nick Suzuki, Kokoniemi. They still got Carey Price. I mean, Jeff Petry's still there. I mean, Montreal, man, they're a sneak wagon out of the North. I mean,
they're definitely going to surprise a bunch of people up in the Canadian League. And
I kind of almost regret my Edmonton Oilers pick now because they have. Jeez.
And then with the Wild getting Cam Talbot, you got Kaprizov is going just stupid right now, and they're going to be a sneaky team in the West. They're going to be a team that's definitely, I don't want to say hard to beat, but it's going to be a team that they're going to have to pay attention to.
Yeah, for sure. Man, Minnesota's crazy.
Yeah, so far, so for surprise players, and we're going to do this either way. My number 1 surprise player is Alexis Lafreniere. He was hyped so big. I know it's been 4 games. Shut up. I don't care. He got 0 points in 4 games. He's being thrown all around the lines. He was up on second line, fourth line, third line. I think he just needs to find his groove. I'm not saying he's bad or anything, but just right now he's not doing great.
It's like just Jack Hughes of last year, man. I mean,
to say that.
Yeah. It's just one of the things, like, they think that every kid who's going to go number 1 or in the top 3 is just going to go absolutely off. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I mean, Kirby Dach last year for the Hawks, man. I mean, he kind of had a slow start. He was doing okay. It took him a couple months. He kind of got into the groove a little bit. Then they came back from, the pause going into the bubble, and he was just an absolute monster in the bubble. He basically bodied Edmonton that entire time. So, I mean, some guys just take a little while. I mean, yeah, not everyone's going to be like a Cal McCarr or a Quentin Hughes and all that. So, I mean,
Cal McCarr kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest with you.
He just jumps into the Colorado playoff lineup in 2019. Well, no problem.
Yeah, no big deal. It just absolutely goes off in the playoffs.
NHL game against the Flames, a tough team.
I think the biggest problem is, these guys that are coming in number 1 overall, they expect them to come in and be throwing up Connor McDavid type points day one. Like, no, guys,
it's not how it works.
It's not going to happen. You have a kid who's 18 or 19 coming from the, QCMHL or Q, whatever it is.
QMJHL.
Yeah.
Quebec Major Junior Hockey.
That, and even like last year you had Jack Hughes, and you expect him to come in, he went first overall, so he's going to get 5 goals every game. No, I mean, these guys are in a whole different world. These guys like Cale McCarr and coming in, Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid, those guys are freaks because they come in, and Cale McCarr, like Johnny said, gets thrown in the lineup in the playoffs, and then all of a sudden you look like you've been playing for 10 years. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's stupid.
You don't see that every day at all.
Yeah.
Zach, what are your surprise teams, man?
I would say probably my surprise teams, man. Edmonton is a little bit of a surprise for me because the fact that you had the 2-headed monster in Draisaitl and McDavid. Draisaitl's kind of, he's here and there. I don't know really what's going on with him. You would think with Vancouver, too, that they would probably do some of the fact that, they did lose Markstrom, but they did pick up Holtby, and they still have, like I said, Quentin Hughes, Bo Horvat, Brandon Sutter. That everyone thought Thatcher Demko was going to be really good, and they just got their absolute breaks beaten off against Montreal in like 2 games. It was just, It's just crazy to look at Vancouver and be like, all right, everyone's kind of picking to be the number 4 team coming out of the North, and you're getting blown off by you're getting spanked by the Montreal Canadiens. So yeah, that's kind of a surprise for me. And then for players, I mean, you kind of took my guy. You took Tyler Toffoli, man. I mean, because I was watching that because I was at work, because I work nights now, and I was watching the Montreal Vancouver game. And Tyler Toffoli has just gone absolutely off. Like, I don't think anyone's expected this dude was just going to score a bunch of goals this early on after playing in LA. Now he's in Montreal, and the fact that Montreal looks like it's just a sneaky wagon. It's just crazy how good Tyler Toffoli is. And I would say my surprise is it's Frederik Andersen of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Everyone's like, oh, Freddie, you know, when he's on, he's really good. And even when he's not good, he's still really decent. Yeah, he has a 2.81 goals against, but his save percentage is under 9.
Yeah.
And his record, I think, is like 3-2 and something like that. I'm like, if you're gonna be the number 1 goalie in Toronto and your backup is, I forget, he played in LA last year. I think it's a Campbell or something like that. I think it's Jack Campbell. Like, if you're expected to be the number 1 guy on the Toronto team where your offense is absolutely loaded and your defense got better, but your save percentage is under 9, and now there's a goalie controversy in Toronto now. It's like, dude, if you're supposed to be the number 1, play like number 1. Don't be giving up so many goals. So I'd say that's my big surprise is Frederik Andersen just absolutely crap in the bed early on this year. And like I said, his goals against is under 2.9, but his save percentage is an absolute joke.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. Jonnie, man, who are your surprise players and teams so far this year?
Yeah, I'll keep it north of the border for my teams. And one of them is actually the Winnipeg Jets. Nothing extremely flashy, so you may not think, they're like a surprise team. They start off 3-1-0 in a real tough North. I did not expect them really to be one of these top teams, but hey, if they can keep scratching and clawing their way, look out for them, because there are still weapons there offensively. I guess it was more of a surprise for me because if you've seen the turnover in D that they've had from basically 2015 through current day, it's ridiculous how many guys have come and gone on their back end, and some of them out of their control, like a Dustin Byfuglien situation, others via trade, sending Trouba to New York. Tyler Myers left, so they've had a lot of turnover there. I guess I didn't expect them, but I love watching Kyle Connor play, so and Nikolai Ehlers, both of those guys. So I'll give Winnipeg for a surprise good team, and then I have a surprise bad team, and that's Vancouver, because I feel like there's always expectations. You're talking Western Canada, always expectations for the Oilers. When you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, always going to be there. But Vancouver, I feel like they kind of pound their chest. Oh, hey, respect us. We have Quinn Hughes. We have, our captain, Bo Horvat. We have these other names that are there. Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson. Tyler Myers is there on the back end now. Nate Schmidt was a new addition. They're 2-4-0 right now, and they're probably going to lose to Montreal again tonight. This is not the start they need the season. I thought they'd be a little bit better, like you had mentioned Demko earlier. They got Braden Holtby there too. That should be a stabilizing presence. But I think it's more the fashion in which they lose. And I know their D was depleted. They had a couple injuries against Montreal the other night when Toffoli had 2, night after scoring a hat trick and a loss. But they were not getting any chances. They could not stop the Canadiens. It was onslaught throughout. Yeah. And obviously Montreal ended up scoring like 7 goals. So that's why Vancouver is my surprise bad team there. As for players, you guys took a bunch of good ones, so I didn't want to double up too much, but I'll go with Connor Garland for the Arizona Coyotes, because that's a team that does not get a whole lot of recognition. They are kind of without an identity, really. Mm-hmm. They ever really had an identity since Shane Doan left? I don't think so. But Connor Garland's getting it done. 2 goals, 4 assists, and 6 points through 5 games. So better than a point per game pace right now. He's a good distributor. So Connor Garland for me out west. And then also Kirill Kaprizov did not really have the high, lofty expectations like Alexei Lafreniere, the Jack Hughes type of last year. But this guy was clearly the most electric rookie right now. 1 goal, 4 assists through 5 games, and he had an OT winner in his first game. So what a way to join win the league. And then second of all, he followed that up with an assist on the overtime game winner in game 2. So that was a surprise for me, definitely. But cool to see. I really like following Russian prospects. So it was cool to see him come up and produce right away.
Oh, for
speaking of Russian prospects, we have to give an honorable mention to this kid. How about Alexander Romanov of the Montreal Canadiens? Just absolutely just bulldozing everyone. The fact that his first goal, his first career goal, was an absolute bomb from the blue line. This kid's going to be ridiculous. I picked him up in a couple fantasy leagues for ESPN hockey. Kid's getting me points left and right. So, I mean, pro tip for anyone who is playing fantasy hockey, pick up Romanov. He's going to get you some points because they expect him to be a top 4 D man for the whole season. So that's a safe bet.
You should just go ahead and trade him to me in our league.
Not happening.
While we're talking about the Canadians, Johnny, I know you mentioned it. The game just ended about 5 minutes ago, and the Canadians smacked around the Canucks 5-2. So, as you expected.
Bad things going on up there in Vancouver, man. I don't think they're going to be in it come even 3/4 of the way through the season.
No.
So basically, it's what, 2 games, 12-5 total. I guess I think that's what the other game was. What, 7-3 or something like that the other night. Like, jeez,
something.
You thought for the fact that Vancouver let Markstrom walk, that's not a smart move, man.
No.
It's going to be painful watching him out there in Western Canada too, playing for the Flames now.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, right. And the
That's
Flames
not going
make
to
the
sit
playoffs.
well with the Vancouver fan base. I'm telling you, and this whole season ain't. It's going to be bad up there. They're going to be calling for heads.
Before or after they riot?
During.
There you go. If everyone remembers the 2011 Stanley Cup, yeah, we all know how that happened after the last game of that.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, that was wild.
So coming up, we're not going to touch too much on it because, I mean, a lot of these guys speak for themselves. We're going to talk about our top 5 rookie players, or if there's somebody that really stands out on their entry-level contract, but we're trying to stick to our rookies. So for me, my number 1 is Kirill Kaprizov because he is kind of coming out of nowhere, and he is making a statement up in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Tim Stützle. First off, he was an absolute stud in the World Juniors, and I know he was. I haven't seen if he's. I think he made his debut, or he's going to shortly. I haven't.
He's already made it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
He did score a goal. I think it was like 2 or 3 games into Ottawa's season, but he did score a goal in his second game, I believe.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was. Yeah, unfortunately, he's hurt right now. I think he just got retroacted, but he should be back Monday, I believe. But yeah,
my number 3 now. Shout out to the Slapshot Sweethearts podcast. They had an interesting conversation about my number 3 pick. Was Ilya Sorokin. He is, I believe he's 25, but he's still a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to hear their very insightful thoughts and takes on him, hop on over and listen to their podcast, but we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I listened to that show. It was good though. A lot of goalie talk, and they did talk about the Blackhawks and
no Blue Jackets talk. What's the problem, guys? Come on.
Hey, talk to Shannon and Megan. Don't look at me.
I got beef with you girls. So we got Sorokin at 3rd. My number 4, I got Alexis Lafreniere. I think he's gonna find his groove. Especially, I've seen him on a line a lot with Artemi Panarin. And Panarin's a playmaker, man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if he gets in his groove, and if I remember correctly, they were moving him back to left wing to see if he feels more comfortable. And if that's the case, then I think he is gonna. I'm not saying he's gonna put up 60 goals or anything like that, but he's definitely gonna start finding his groove a little bit. And my number 5, I've got Joel Kiviranta with Dallas. So he is a sneaky kid. I think he's really good, but he is severely underrated, and he is flying under the radar, and I think he's just going to continue to stay that way.
Hey, not a bad list, man. Not bad at all. For me, my 2 and 3 I can kind of flip flop on, but my number 1 is Tim Stützle. Ottawa, he's looking really good. Unfortunately, yes, Herbie should be back, but Ottawa might be another sneaky team. I know a lot of people don't really have them doing a whole lot, but I mean, they did do some against Toronto. I know they did lose the second one in that series, but I mean, Ottawa's a young team. They do have Matt Murray in goal. That might actually help them out. So I wouldn't count on Ottawa to, surprise some people and, take away some wins this year from the teams that everyone thinks is going to run away with the division. My number 2, it's Kapril, Kaprizov. So I agree with you, Alex. That kid's going to be really good. I don't know if you saw the video of him when he was doing after practice where he's like flipping the puck over the goal and hitting it out of midair.
Mm-hmm.
If this kid, someone makes this shot in the middle of an NHL game, I think the Michigan's nice, but this kid pulls this move off, and I think hockey Twitter is going to lose their minds.
It'll make Svechnikov drop his mouth.
All right, it's crazy. My number 3 is Alexi Lafreniere. Like you said, it's 4 games in. I think he's going to find his touch. The Rangers, they're kind of rough right now, but I think the kid's going to find his touch. I mean, you don't do what you do. I mean, the Q, from what I've heard, it's kind of not as tough as the OHL or the WHL, but I think Lafreniere is going to get a scoring touch, and I think he's going to help with the Rangers. Will they make the playoffs? I don't think so, but I think he'll find his way to start getting the touch that everyone thinks he's going to do. My number 4 is Dylan Cousins of Buffalo. I know Buffalo is kind of, they're Buffalo. No one really has high hopes for them, but I think Dylan Cousins is supposed to be really good. He did really good with the U.S. Development team and stuff like that, and he's supposed to be really good from everything I've seen. So I think he's someone that can do something if Buffalo ever figures out how to click at any pace. They got Eric Stahl, Taylor Hall. They got Yoki Haru. As Johnny would know, we would kind of wish we still had him on the team. I mean, they still have Rasmus Ristolainen. I think Buffalo can do something, and I think Dylan Cousins could be a factor for that team. And then my number 5 is Alexander Romanov. Like I said, from Montreal, this kid is going to be. No one really knew about this kid at all. He's going to be a top 4 D man. He's got a bomb shot. I mean, he's got a flow that looks really nice. I mean, this kid's going to do something, and for the fact of how sneaky Montreal has been, like I've said before on the show, this kid is going to do something. I think he's going to be, making a name for himself in the Calder race this year. Johnny, man, who's your top 5 rookies to take a look at, or that you are impressed with so far this year?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I saw yours before we jumped on this call when you guys sent me over the kind of topic sheet here. So I didn't want to double up too much, but some of it will be. The front half of mine, I'll preface this by saying some of it will be doubled up because there are 2 that have really, really impressed. And then the back half, though, I think you guys will enjoy these surprises. So I'll get started. Kirill Kaprizov, I talked about him earlier, the coming onto the scene with the overtime winner and the assist on the overtime winner in game 2. That's an impressive way to start your career. And then, he's, making Minnesota not boring, which is, kind of been their rut for the longest time. So they got something flashy up there. So Kirill Kaprizov stands out to me. Second is Alexander Romanov. All the reasons that you guys mentioned. Outside of the point production, he's got the 1 goal, 1 assist. I know it's still we're only a few games into this thing, but most impressive. I know Montreal's been scoring a ton, but he's +5. Usually you see young defensemen come in and they are down there. Even with all those goals, so he could easily be, +1 or, even on that thing. See him there through 5 games, +5. I'll give him number 2 slot. Number 3, one that people might not know about because I feel like he's overshadowed by another, real talented young star there in Jack Hughes, but it is Ty Smith, defenseman for the Devils. Kind of same deal as Romanov here. He's got 1 goal, 3 assists through 4 games, and he's a +4 as well. So that tells you he's taking care of his own end and contributing offensively. So Ty Smith from New Jersey, number 3. This next guy's only played in 2 games. Number 4 for me is Eetu Luostarinen, forward center for the Florida Panthers. He had 1 goal and 1 assist in 2 games. Both those games were against the Hawks. So maybe it's just, me seeing him actually in person, but he was a pain in the ass versus us, Zach.
Oh, he was.
I think
he was.
That. So,
that was not fun dealing with that kid. I was like, all right, can we just someone stop him, please?
Yeah, he skates with a purpose. Let's say that. So I was impressed with him. That's Luostarinen at 4. And number 5, no hometown bias here at all, of course. Kevin Lankinen. I know that when you look at the stats in that first game, giving up 5 goals, you're not going to put him on any standout lists around the league. But hear me out. This guy is calm, cool, collected Kevin. That's what I call him. You look at just his style of play. He doesn't go out and play pucks as aggressively as like a Delia or Subban does for the Hawks. He kind of stays and uses his pads and stays kind of deep in his net, but that's a strength of his. He knows he can do that. Maybe that's a product of playing in Europe for a while, but that's what he does. And it gives you a better sense of calmness, like I said, as a Hawks fan, especially when we give up a million scoring chances a game. But in his most recent game last night against Detroit, 30 of 31, good for a 968 save percentage. And you go and look at this kid's social media, you look at his answers to media interviews. He is, like I said, calm, cool, collected Kevin, and he wants it. He said flat out, I like when guys come out and make definitive statements. I want to be the number one goalie for the Chicago Blackhawks. So mentality plus this most recent performance puts Kevin Laine sneaking into number 5 for me.
Yeah, for sure. And the fact too, he was also MVP of the World Juniors a couple years back.
Yes.
So I mean, that really tells you something of how good this kid is if he's the MVP of the World Juniors. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's best on best. It's a small sample size. I mean, hey, if you win MVP and you're a goalie in a league like that where Canada and Sweden and all these and the Russians and all these teams can put up points left and right and you're doing something, nothing wrong with that. I mean, yeah, I love that pick. I thought about putting some Blackhawks on there, but I'm like, I didn't want to be too biased with my answers, but yeah, Lanky, yeah.
When I was formulating it, I was thinking Ian Mitchell, and then I go and look at it. It's like, that -6 is real hard to swallow. So I left him off, but he skates with poise, so I'll give him that. Give him a little bit. Develop and be more impressive. But Laine, I think there's a case to be made there.
Even Kurashev too. I know we'll talk about it later, but yeah, Kurashev or Suter. I mean, one of those two guys too. I mean, yeah, but awesome list for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Before we move on to period 2, I actually just found this out. So a congratulations to Carey Price. With the win tonight, he becomes the 5th youngest goalie in NHL history to get to 350 career wins.
Wow.
Love me some Carey Price. I have his jersey from their Winter Classic against Boston when they played those are Gillette Stadium, the light blue. Yeah, love Carey.
Nice. Those ones are fresh. Those are pretty nice. Can't go wrong with those ones. So, Alex, do you have the other 4 by chance, or do you just have Carey? You just know that Carey Price was number 5.
I just know he's number 5.
Okay.
I don't want to look it up right now.
No, that's fine. I just thought maybe you had it up, but no, that's awesome for Carey to get 350. I mean, you have to admit that Montreal knows how to get goalies. I mean, Ken Dryden, Patrick Waugh, Carey Price. I mean, here and there, there's just so many goalies that team's had. I mean, if you're looking at original 6 teams, there's a lot of good goalies on almost any original 6 team.
Oh yeah,
unless you're the New York Rangers when you only have 4 Stanley Cups as an original 6. But
well, yeah, and you've had the same goalie for 73 years. So moving on, period 2, we don't have a lot of information here today. There's just not that much going on. Carolina games were postponed due to COVID-19. They don't play until the 26th against the Lightning. Nashville had 1 game canceled. Carolina's had 2 so far. While we're talking about Carolina, fun fact, during the quarantine, Ryan Dzingel is getting his real estate license. I know that is huge news, but clearly the times he's getting scratched and constantly just overshadowed in Carolina, he has the time to learn how to sell houses. So cool story.
Hey, he's pulling at Eddie Lack, Hey, someone else you got to find your second career job, man. And something about Carolina. I mean, Eddie Lack played in Carolina too, I believe. So I mean, something about Carolina and getting your real estate license. Congrats to Ryan Dzingel on his second potential career after NHL's over.
Yeah. Third up, we have. I mean, this one speaks for itself. Dallas in their first game back throws up 7 against Nashville.
Love to see it.
7 in the whole game. That's 7 in 2 periods. They dropped 5 on them in the second period.
Fantastic.
That was rough to watch if you were a Nashville fan.
Oh, that's a shame. I feel so bad for that.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
care.
Oh, I know. Oh, poor Nashville. I mean, hey, they should raise a banner first.
Yeah.
Get spanked, letting a team put up 7 on you in the first game of the shortened season.
Yeah. What
raise that up?
What do you put for the lettering on the banner? What is it? Dallas Stars de-roster, since it makes them look like they didn't, that wasn't their first game of the year.
Yeah, right. Like they started later than everyone else. Comes out game one and puts up a 7 spot on you. Like, yeah, that no, that's not gonna work.
I don't want to dive too much. I know we got other topics to get to, but I was talking with my buddy last night after the Hawks game, and it's funny how Nashville's identity changes with their number one defenseman. Think about the Shea Weber era, and then think about how that goes to PK Subban, and now it's Roman Josi. And you got so much money tied up in all of these guys that you're talking about here. The team has to build around that and be that. And I understand Roman Josi is very good. I'm not knocking him at all. But maybe it detracts from the rest of the team and what they can do and add around it. So I just thought that was an interesting kind of theme in Nashville.
For sure.
Yeah.
In this past, or not this past season, but beginning of the 2019-2020 season, they drop however much money on Matt Duchene, leaving Columbus to go over there, and they signed him to a 7-year deal, and he has done virtually nothing. And, I was sitting there hearing around the trade deadline when was it? I think it was around, it was the summertime, right before the return to play started, since the trade deadline got moved and things like that. There was rumors that Nashville's trying to move Matt Duchene already because they severely regretted his contract. Like, he's not doing anything. He's too busy playing guitar and whatever.
Maybe Nashville just shouldn't just give guys huge contracts, because they traded Subban for Weber. Or no, they traded Weber for Subban, traded Subban to New Jersey for who knows what. I can't remember that trade at all. And now they got Roman Josi, and then they regret Duchene's contract. Hey, Nashville, stop giving the big contracts out. You
trades
know
they
what
have,
you're doing.
So a lot of the trades they have end up turning poorly. Shout out to the Nashville Predators. Thank you for Seth Jones. We love him. Appreciate it.
For for Johansson. Yikes.
I just want Nashville to know, all you have to do is look up I-57 North, and you can see how bad contracts affect a team structure. You have the example from Stan Bowman. Avoid that, but I guess they're just too dumb to do that. So whatever. I'll let Nashville suffer. I'm all for it. I just think it's interesting dynamics that go on there.
And the fact that they rely on Pecorine all the time, and
oh my gosh,
their goaltending is an absolute joke.
At least they got Askarov. I know he struggled in World Juniors a little bit, but I think that guy's a real deal down the road.
And, for sure.
Speaking of Nashville, for the love of God, stop throwing catfish on the ice. It's stupid. It's stupid. Just stop it. No one likes it.
Detroit wannabe stuff there.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you can't even come up with your own original stuff.
And that whole "you suck, it's all your fault" thing. All right, it's cute after the first time, but every goal, okay, can we just not anymore?
I'm
done with that.
Can you guys just shut up so I can have my $14 hot dog, please? Thank you.
That was fun at watching club hockey games at 9 p.m. at University of Illinois, where I went to school. Just blitzed with my buddies, shouting the "you suck." But at an NHL game, come on, let's grow up.
Yeah.
No. Final part of period 2. I'm not going to put a lot of time in this. Braden Point, I hate you. You suck. Stop scoring overtime goals against the Blue Jackets, please and thank you.
Or Braden Point just scoring against the against the Blackhawks, please and thank you, because Braden Point was an absolute pain in our butts, along with everyone else on Tampa.
Just stop scoring. That'd be great, especially this year. Please stop. I don't like you. I hate you. You ruined our 5 overtime game last year with some nonsense that went off of Gavrikoff's shoulder. Stop it. You beat us in overtime the other day. You suck. I hate you. It's fine. Okay.
I just really don't appreciate that we got to face them so many times this year in the Central Division.
I mean, you can feel that way, but I'll touch on it here in a second. After today's game between the Blackhawks, good grief, the Blue Jackets and the Lightning, dude, I don't know if the Blue Jackets are their kryptonite or what, but man, they fell apart today.
It also helps you don't have. It also doesn't help you have you don't have PLD anymore, so you guys don't have to deal with that distraction.
Oh yeah. All right. So I've got a lot of words about that. So real quick, coming up here on period 3. If you guys are just tuning in, this is the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast presented by Belly Up Sports. So real quick, I'm going to do a couple game recaps for the Blue Jackets. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I have some stuff to talk about. All right.
This is gonna be fun. All right, all right, everyone, grab your popcorn. You probably want to grab a couple beers because this is gonna be a fun one to
All
listen
right.
to. I would love to hear. I would love to hear this.
This is not the first game. The second game against Nashville. By the way, other than today, I think our best looking game. Nashville beat us 5-2. Blue Jackets had a solid first period, but then they just decided to not show up and come back out for the rest of the game. They fell apart in the second, and they just were absolutely non-existent in the third period. Absolutely ridiculous. For the Blue Jackets, Nick Foligno and Alexander Texier scored their 2 goals. First game against Detroit, we beat them 3-2. They looked terrible. I'm pretty sure a tree could have done better. They absolutely should not have won that game, but somehow they did. Oliver Bjorkstrand, Alexander Texier, and Pierre-Luc Dubois scored. And Jonas Korpisalo got his second career assist on one of the goals, which was pretty cool.
Hey, pro goalie points. This is a pro
absolutely.
goalie point podcast.
Oh, for sure,
Plus,
man.
it's Pecorine sending it down the ice against the Hawks. I was at that game, by the way.
Oh, you were at that game?
Yes.
I bet
and
that was.
he sent it from my end because I have a half season ticket plan up in 324. So it was at my end. I had the view the whole way down. It was so painful.
I bet that's one of those things that you're like, God, how did you score? I hate you, but that was also awesome at the same time.
I was so mad at the time, but then I went home and looked at the Twitter highlight, and I was like, all right. I mean, it's rare, so I get it. Like, I understand why it's going to be.
Yeah, at least you have to see it.
It was painful just because I was literally right on top of it. So just
at least Kirby tried to stop it. So I mean, gotta give the kid credit. At least he tried to stop it, but that was
it was painful because that was a game they needed to win too. Back in that, I didn't mean to cut you off, but when we were talking about goalie points,
that's
the most recent one I've seen in person. So.
Yeah.
So about that first Detroit game, a fun fact, if you guys don't know, Zach Werenski and Dylan Larkin are actually friends. They both went to the University of Michigan and played college hockey together.
That was fantastic. That was so great.
Dylan Larkin left tickets for Zach Werenski's parents. So they're able to come to the game because it's only for, Detroit was letting fans in, but you can't buy the tickets. So Werenski wasn't able to buy them for his parents. So Dylan Larkin left tickets for his parents. Well, in the third period, towards the end of the third period, they had a big scrum, and Werenski and Dylan Larkin just started going at it, started fighting each other. So you have 2 kids who were roommates and best friends from college beating the crap out of each other. Werenski won that fight because if you guys watch it in slow-mo, Dylan Larkin landed 1 punch, Werenski got like 3, so deal with it.
Well, the fact that it was all kind of fun too. They were laughing about it too afterwards.
Oh,
I forget who. I think it was like Bobby Ryan and someone else were in the scrap together, and they were also they're just tapping each other, just laughing about it. Like, all right,
Zach Werenski, Dylan Larkin, and then the other one going on 5 feet to their left was Bobby Ryan and Oliver Bjorkstrand, which that was his first career fight, and also that game he got a Gordie Howe hat trick as well.
There you go.
Nice.
There you go. Hey, anytime you get a Gordie Howe hat trick, it's gonna be a good time.
I think it's pretty ironic that Zach Werenski is the only other person that got a Gordie Howe hat trick for the Blue Jackets, and he was fighting 5 feet away from him. So,
Yeah, I just to take a page out of our boy Patrick Kane's book. Hey, college friends fighting in an NHL game. That's hockey, baby.
There we go.
Oh,
definitely for sure. What started that scrum? I know someone checked someone, and it just kind of started like a brouhaha.
So there's a shot that went in. It was probably from the top of the face-off circle on the left, I think it was first game. So it would have been Corpy on Corpy's right-hand side. It hit him on his just above his right blocker.
Oh, yeah.
Zach Werenski comes up and cross-checks Bobby Ryan, and Bobby Ryan falls into Korpisalo, knocking the puck loose.
That's right.
And somebody else came up and hit him, and it just went into the net.
That's right.
There wasn't a challenge, but they reviewed the goal.
They counted it, yeah.
Yeah, they counted it, and then those 2 went at it. I think that was with less than a minute left, so it didn't matter. But
yeah, but that was so great that the fact that you had college roommates and best friends fighting each other. Then you have Bobby Ryan. Can we just talk about how great? I mean, unfortunately, he is with the Red Wings, but it's kind of great to see Bobby Ryan, back in hockey and doing really well. I think he's 4 goals, and he's at the top of things leading Detroit in points, and he's top 5 in the league overall.
First person in franchise history to get 4 goals in 3 games. Now let that sink in with how old the Red Wings franchise is.
And all the guys they've had on that team too. You're talking about Stevie Y, you're talking about Shanahan, you're talking Fedorov, and all the Ovs they've had on that team.
Yeah. Steve Yzerman had
I would have thought Pavel Datsyuk did it,
You would think, yeah. I mean, of course, Lindstrom, Draper, and all those guys. I mean, Detroit, you would think someone would have done it, but like I said, unfortunately, Bobby Ryan is with the Red Wings. But I'm just glad that he's doing all right and he's doing well in the league overall, and I'm glad that the Red Wings gave him a shot.
I'm totally here for the Bobby Ryan comeback, and I'm so glad that he's picking up where he left off. Because if you remember that one game he played when he finally did come back for Ottawa, he scored twice, I think, and he had an assist, and he was just lights out.
I thought he got a hattie in that game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Was it a hat trick?
Yeah, he got a hattie.
I thought it was 3 points, but
it was. Yeah, okay. He got a hattie that game. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I thought one of them was an apple, but either way, great to see him just pick up where he left off. It wasn't just a one-time nice story. It's like he's still producing. So
I mean, even go back to his Anaheim days. I mean, that dude can put up goals. I mean, he's a good goal scorer. It's just unfortunately everything off ice stuff. Glad that he's doing all right and overcoming stuff like that. It's just a great story. So I mean, got a shout out Bobby Ryan. Just we're. Team rivalries aside, it's just good to see guys are doing all right when it comes to stuff like that.
Happy
substance or mental stuff and all that. So I mean,
just don't score on us anymore. Stop it. Second Detroit game, we lose 3-2 in overtime. We had a great first period. Second, we fell off. We rebounded in third to tie it at 2, and then we had a staggering 14 seconds of overtime. Had a bounce call. Dylan Larkin takes a shot from the left-hand side, or from the right-hand side, bounces off of Elvis Merzlikins, hits, I think it was Tyler Bertuzzi, and just somehow squeaks in. That game, Boone Jenner and Alexander Texier, once again, were the ones that scored. Tampa Bay, first game, we lose in overtime, 3-2. We had a fantastic first period. We were on our toes the entire time. But we left way too many open chances. Tampa capitalizes on our mistakes, just as they did in the playoffs last year. Oliver Bjorkstrand and Nick Foligno score goals. Now, talking about that game.
Oh, I was ready for this.
All right,
I was ready for. I sent you this tweet of this video.
Pierre-Luc Dubois.
I'm so ready for this.
Oh gosh,
just shy of 4 minutes of ice time. I believe it was 3 minutes and 55 seconds. His last shift was in the first period with just over 5 minutes left. If you guys have not seen his last shift, go look it up. This man gave about as much effort as my turd that I left this morning in the toilet. He did virtually nothing. He skated around, and his quote-unquote puck battle was him staring at the puck in the corner, okay? Absolutely ridiculous. Get your ass out of here. Nobody wants you here. Suck it up. I hate you. Okay. And then the fact that you had the balls to deny press conference with any of the reporters after the game. And then you also had the balls on Friday to sit there and say, yeah, I know my play hasn't been where it's at. And, I know I need to be better and blah, blah, blah. Let's get this aired out for a second. Before the season started, you said that I'm going to be the best teammate I can be. I'm not going to let this be a distraction. I just want to go out and win games and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to call bullshit. Here's why. Patrick Laine also requested a trade from Winnipeg. First game of the season, he goes out and is on fire. He's trying. You scored 1 goal, and that was on a breakaway, so you really didn't try too hard. Let's just get this out. I'm glad you're gone. You suck. I hate you. You were going to get booed so much when you come back to Columbus. I thought Jeff Carter was bad. Rick Nash, when he was still playing, surprisingly was bad. Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky were pretty bad. I think Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to be the worst. Whenever he comes back to Columbus, he's going to hate it. He's going to hate coming back.
That shift, though, man, that was rough.
It was embarrassing.
Because he glides into his teammate coming from their own end. He's acting like he's frustrated. He's not getting the puck. He goes offsides, comes back onsides, and goes for that puck battle. He basically just stood up the entire time, and two guys, like one guy hits him, the other guy just comes up and just takes the puck from him. He just looks back and is like, "Oh,
Well, that shift he barely
And then
tries.
he just skates off the ice over by him. He just lollygags back to the
The
bench.
one time on the ice he even tries, it's almost like he's trying to take the puck away from Dean Kukin.
Yeah.
How stupid are you, dude?
That was so bad. That was the most
No.
laziest shift I've ever seen in hockey. And there's like so many people ripping him on this. It's
like
just
we'll just get a simple message out to you, Pierre. Fuck you. Okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We hate you. Now, with the attitude that he's had over the last 3 weeks, I'm glad he's gone.
it's a lot of balls to sign a contract and then immediately ask to get traded and then play a shift like that. I mean, Jonnie,
Well,
I know you've seen this. Like, what are your thoughts of this whole PLD situation? Just that shift.
So first of all, just going back to the shift breakdown, you covered the beginning of it and whatever, but at the end, like you had mentioned, the going into the puck battle or lack thereof on his part, the way he stood up and just, didn't even make an effort towards it, reminded me of plays that Alex Nylander last year would do, and Pat Foley would just ream in for the Blackhawks, if you remember that. That's what it looked like to me. But my thought overall, I had this note when I'm glad that Alex, I wanted to hear it from a Columbus fan, so I really like the passionate words there. As a hockey fan, I am glad this whole situation is over, both for, obviously, Luc Dubois was the bigger distraction, but Laine had a little bit of that too. I rip on the NBA all the time, and my friends that are basketball fans, and tell them, how soft the league is and how the players are such babies. The NHL was starting to get some of that with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Patrick Laine, so I'm happy it's over, and I can resume my NBA trash talk, and hopefully those guys don't pipe up too much more, and they're happy in their new locations. So I just wanted to get that out there because I am a culprit of it. I always rip on basketball for that and say that, guys are better in hockey, but there are a few, outliers to that.
I just think with the NBA
general code.
I think it's just the NBA though. It's just the fact that you have guys resting so much and load management and all these other things and the flopping. It's like, no, I guess it's just one of those things. Like, why? Like, you make all this money and you're about getting rest and stuff. It's like,
well, but he got a paper cut. He has to have maintenance for a month. Come on.
Well, didn't you say that's Laine's reason why he's earlier?
Oh yeah, he probably wanted to be gone.
I'm just joking with you.
No, I mean, I will say, all right, well, let me touch on that in a second. So we finished the first game with Tampa. Okay, PLD throws whatever nonsense is going on Friday for their quote unquote pre-game coverage. It was right before their practice. I think it was about 6 p.m. ish. The news started to break that the Blue Jackets are listening to all these offers again. They're actively looking or actively listening to offers. And then it was, it went from 5 teams to 7 teams to 1 team to 3 teams. The 3 teams I saw the most were the Anaheim Ducks, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Winnipeg Jets. I also saw thrown in there was the Rangers, the Flames, Arizona was one, and then Florida, but I don't think Florida had the pieces to do it anyways.
Clayton Keller, that'd been kind of cool to get Clayton Keller out of Arizona and put him with Columbus. That would have been kind of fun because Arizona's going to ride that kid till he falls apart.
Hey,
honestly,
Connor Garland needs someone to help him out. Come on.
Along with Nick Schmaltz and Hjalmarsson too down there because
for sure.
Arizona needs all. Ranta, because Chicago loves to give like everyone in the South their players. Carolina, Florida, Arizona.
Hey,
Blackhawks
you're forgetting about the Hall of Famer in Arizona and Phil Kessel. Okay,
Phil. Oh, hey, put some respect on Marion Host's name there, Alex. He's a Hall of Famer.
So I'm up till like 2:00 in the morning, refreshing Twitter, just checking. And then, it's kind of I don't care anymore. I'm going to bed. This morning, if you have not seen this, those of you listening, the trade was official where Pierre-Luc Dubois and a 2022 third-round draft pick are going to the Winnipeg Jets for Patrick Laine and Jack Roslovic. So to talk on Jack Roslovic first, he is a Columbus born and bred kid. He was not stop smiling. He was enjoying his interviews with some of the Columbus reporters. I mean, growing up in Columbus, being part of the Blue Jackets AAA, like the Pee Wee organization, and then playing for him. Now, how I think that he just refused to sign a contract until he's traded, I don't necessarily agree with that. Again, if I were a GM and somebody told me that, guess what? I'm going to hold on to you until you are an unrestricted free agent, and you can just sit there and not play. I don't care. I'll sign you for league minimum and call it a day. It's fine. And then if you don't want to sign a contract, you can pull a Jesse Puljujarvi and go play in the KHL for all I care. I don't, I'll hold your rights.
And then comes back and plays with the exact same team that he don't even want to play with.
Oh my God, tell me about it. That's just whatever. So the one benefit is that the Winnipeg Jets are retaining 26% of Patrick Laine's salary. So if you guys are not up on the salary caps, think of it like this, that Pierre-Luc Dubois and Patrick Laine, their salary caps are equal now. So the Blue Jackets are not adding anything other than the 2-year contract that they signed Jack Roslovic. It was a 2-year at approximately, I think, 1.9 AAV. So all they're doing is
that's a steal. That's a steal.
And he's still an unrestricted, he's still a restricted free agent afterwards. So Patrick Laine, his salary is coming in at just barely shy of $5 million. He's going to be a restricted free agent with arbitration rights at the end of the year. I am okay with this trade, and there are multiple reasons why. Number one, Pierre-Luc Dubois is gone. This gives even more reason for us to push for Max Domi to be our number one center and to sign him long term. I'm okay with that. Before we didn't really have we had a number one center, but we didn't have a long-term option. Hopefully we can get him signed, and that can be a long-term option. That also, I think, gives Alexander Texier more options at center. They'll give him more experience. He's played the last couple games at center, and he's been a million times better than I thought he would be. Laine's, he's been really good for the Jets. He's been hurt a little bit this year, but I'm not overly concerned about that. I'm excited for it. I'm glad Pierre-Luc Dubois is gone, and he wants to go to a bigger market. Okay, well, have fun going to the New York of Manitoba, because that's the only city in Manitoba, clearly. The one thing realistically though about that I think Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to like is his dad is actually the one of the assistant coaches for the Manitoba Moose, which is the AHL affiliate for the Jets. So I'm sure he'll like that. But, if he wanted to go there or not, I could not care less. I just wanted him gone. I would have traded him to, Montreal. Here's the problem. A lot of these fans thought that, we'll get Pierre-Luc Dubois for a 2021 7th round pick and a free coupon from Tim Hortons for a donut. No, you guys, it's outrageous. All right. Like, they're not understanding. The dude was a number 3 overall pick. Patrick Laine was number 2 overall pick. Anyone with common sense is going to sit there and say, hey, these guys have put up numbers. Laine has had more offensive production, but Pierre-Luc Dubois was more of a 2-way player. It's a 1-for-1. And then, Roslovic for the 3rd round pick. I think that is a pretty good swap for those two. I don't know if I would have given up a 3rd, but you know what? At this rate, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, but you're talking about a 3rd in 2022, so you're giving yourself a little bit of a space with that. The only thing that my thing is with Laine is, are you getting the Laine that's going to put up 40 goals, or are you going to get a Laine that's going to disappear for about 2 months and then finally kind of shows up? Like, I honestly think they will get the Laine that's going to be on his game all season, which he did show. But you do have that in the back of your mind about that.
I think a lot of that's going to depend on how, like, if Cam Atkinson decides he wants to show up to a game, and if Boone Jenner wants to show up a little bit more, and Nick Foligno's actually done pretty well. But if Seth Jones remembers that he's part of a professional hockey team and stuff like that, like if these our big name guys in Columbus would actually show up to a damn game, then we would be scoring more. So this trade gets completed. Jack Roslovic signs his 2-year deal. Patrick Laine, if you guys are listening to this on Sunday, Patrick Laine is going to have a 7-day quarantine that he has to have coming into Columbus. after whenever he gets his work visa situation figured out. So my best guess is he'll probably play, I don't know, the weekend of the 6th, so 2 weeks. He's got a couple things to work out. Pierre-Luc Dubois was going up to Winnipeg. He was going to fly. If he flied commercially, he'd have a 14-day quarantine, but he's flying privately, so he can continue to stay within NHL COVID protocol. So he's only going to have a 7-day quarantine, and then if he has any work visa issues, he has to get straightened out. I'm glad PLD's gone at this point, because I don't want somebody on my team that's going to give 20%. I think it's ridiculous. You suck at interviews. You're awkward. I'm kind of over that. Just get out of Columbus, man. Hurry up. Get your shit. Get out. No one cares. No one wants you here. No one wants you here anymore. So all that gets done. And then the Blue Jackets play the Tampa Bay Lightning again. Second game. Entirely different team. We beat Tampa 5-2. We scored three times in the first period. Absolutely insane. This team looked so different. And this is again why I think that, PLD saying that, oh, I'm not going to be a distraction, that's a load of crap, because clearly today that showed that it was entirely a distraction, because it came out, they're an entirely different team. They destroy Tampa 5-2. They make Vasilevsky look like, a giant piece of Swiss cheese. And, in today's game, it was Nick Foligno, Vladislav Gavrikov, Zach Werenski, Mikhail Grigorenko, and Eric Robinson. 4 of those guys getting their first goal for the year, and then Nick Foligno getting his third. I don't have much more about that other than PLD sucks. So Blackhawks. What's been going on?
Tell us how you really feel, Alex.
Yeah. Alex, before we move over to the Blackhawks, I have a couple comments. First of all, like I said earlier, I love hearing this from a Columbus fan. I'm from Chicago. I'm in the burbs, so most of everyone around here, all Blackhawks for the most part. So it's nice to reach out and hear that, and I'm glad to hear the raw emotion of that. Second of all, on the return, Patrick Laine, I am of firm belief, because one thing that we say over at OnTap Sportsnet and on the Four Feathers pod, when something is commendable, good, worthwhile for your team, it's cool and tough. And players with a big slap shot are cool and tough. And I am a firm belief that every forward corps, along with guys from the back end who can bring it, every forward corps needs a big slap shot. And I think that's a weapon that has been lacking since Artemi Panarin left Columbus. So that was my final comment on that, and we can move to the Hawks now. But I just wanted to finalize on that.
Yeah, for sure. One quick thing though, I actually did get a question here a little bit ago, and it is, what type of production am I expecting out of Patrick Laine? This season, to be honest, not much. I'm going to say maybe middle of the pack. It's probably going to take him a little getting used to Columbus, and it's a different atmosphere and things like that. So I could say the rest of the season, I'd say maybe, I could see 20 to 25 goals, maybe around the same number of assists. I'd say maybe a 40 to 50 point season for him. Nothing much. I think what he's actually going to do is help guys like Cam Atkinson. So the benefit of Artemi Panarin when he was with the Blue Jackets is guys would try and double and triple team him. Well, that gave Cam Atkinson breakaways and open ice with the ability to shoot the puck at his discretion. Well, since he left, he hadn't been able to do that a lot. So I think getting a guy like Patrick Laine in there is going to help that. So what I think is, I don't think he's going to go just crazy getting a bunch of goals and assists, but I do think he is actually going to help pave the way for some of the other players to kind of find their footing and get back to where we're going.
Yeah, and give him a regular full season. I think he's going to get 40 goals and probably 90 to 100 something points. Just give him a regular full season. Give him a normal off season too, training camp and all that. Laine next year, he's going to go off, in my opinion. So
yeah,
you guys are
on
on
his contract for sure. I hope so.
Right. All right. So moving on to the Blackhawks. First part of this recap is going to be based on what we've been dealing with ever since the start of the season. In the back half, last night's game, it's going to be really nice to talk about. if anyone listens to, Four Feathers podcast, they do a show after every game and stuff like that, which I would recommend because it's really good. I listen to all of them, but yeah, that first game against Florida, they lose 5-2. Alex DeBrincat scores, Connor Murphy scores, and then pretty much the floodgates open and nothing really happens to that. I mean, Jonnie, that first Florida game, that was basically what we saw in the first 2 Tampa games, get lit up 15-5 after the first 3. I mean, at least the power play was looking good. Penalty kill was just kind of rough. And I mean, I'm kind of glad they gave Colin Delia his second start in a row, given the fact that, they were playing Tampa. But honestly, man, like that first Florida game was like, oh, here we go again. And against the other team in Florida, not Tampa.
Yeah. And also another thing for the Blackhawks, making the Panthers look like they have no rust because they had their first 2 canceled because they were supposed to be against Dallas. So that was disappointing. You got the Q tie-ins, all of that. Since, Alex already went and we're making this explicit. If you listen to the post game from that one, what was my main, gripe or rant on that one? Get the puck the fuck out of the house. And the house, you know what I'm talking about. From the goal out to the bottom of the circles, goes up through the dots. Over from meeting in the middle from between the top of the circles, and even Connor Murphy described that after the game. So we did a terrible job of clearing the front of our net. So I was happy that my rant, maybe Connor wanted to say it like that too, but he can't to the media. But you're on the podcast. That's what I said. That was my big takeaway. And then that was just a lot of chasing in that game. You go behind early and you're always chasing that. So they didn't get into rhythm. Luckily, we'll have something better to talk about later. But my one takeaway from that one, nice to see Cat getting going early. That was another part of his continuation of the Cat bounce back season, which we'll talk more about later at the end. But those are my takeaways from that game. Yeah,
it's really nice to see that DeBrincat's finally getting a scoring touch back because he did that big dip last year for getting that new contract. Everyone's like, oh, crap. We extend him. He struggles last year. This year, he's looking pretty good so far. I mean, that was, other than the fact that it was just Delia gives up 10 goals in 2 games. You're thinking to yourself, all right, is this going to be an issue where we're just going to have just because when you look at it from last year, we had Crow and Leonard. Yeah, the defense was kind of rough and they were giving up, we've had the worst defense the last 2 years, too many scoring chances and all that, but at least we had goalies who were bailing us out. Not so much with Subban, who played for 5 minutes one game, and Colin Delia hasn't played a game since like 2019 because they signed Leonard, trade him to get Malcolm Subban. Subban's played for 5 minutes. They play Crow in the entire bubble, which then after that, you're like, oh, we want to go young. And you're like, why didn't you do that in the bubble against the Oilers where we could have had a chance for I'm glad we beat Edmonton, but it's kind of like, I'd rather have gone for the pick at that point if we were going to go young, if that was the plan all along. Like, we've talked about, I know I've heard you guys talk about it, and every other Blackhawks podcast talk about that still makes no sense. But then you see how the 2 goalies are now in the first couple games with Delia and Subban, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm already on the notion this is going to be a rebuild year and we're going to take a lot of silver linings and a lot of like, hey, it's a development year. Don't hang up on the wins and losses. But can you at least not get your breaks beaten off every game?
Yeah, not give up first 3 games, giving up 5 goals. That's just rough, and it made you feel pretty hopeless for the rest of the season. But luckily, we'll get to some stuff that turns that around.
For sure. So the second game in Florida, it was actually probably the most, outside of this game we saw Friday night, this was probably the most competitive game we've ever seen the Blackhawks play. I mean, they did lose in overtime. They got the point. It's nice. We'll take it. It was 5-4. But, Lincoln was in that guy's NHL debut. You really can't blame him for any of the goals that went in. A lot of them were just crazy bounces. Some were going off a bunch of guys and stuff like that. So, I mean, you really can't blame Lincoln at all for this game. I don't think you can really blame any of the goalies. Subban and Delia, you can a little bit just because of a lot of stuff we've heard, like working on rebound control for Subban. Obviously, that never worked out in game 1. Delia, he's been pretty rusty. He made some mistakes, but it's just like you don't give up 10 goals in 2 games, but you really can't blame Lincoln in his first game ever. At least they were still in it. He did a pretty good job, in my opinion, keeping them in. Dominic Kubalik got 2 goals. Both of them were on the power play, both bombs, which were just amazing to see. Patrick Kane gets that beautiful backhander, which was just chef's kiss. So nice.
Make it nasty. That's our shtick over at
make it make it nasty, man.
Make it nasty. That was Patrick Kane there. But yeah, tough one to lose there. But I think that was a lesson in resiliency. I talked about them chasing games before that. That was a lesson in playing a full 60. Unfortunately, they didn't play the last 5 after that were tacked on to the extra 60.
Yeah, right.
That's okay. You know what? I could live with that one because it showed some fight and they had a really, really good second period. Even as good as the beginning of the Detroit game was that we'll get to, that second period of that Florida game, even though it was the overtime loss, that was their best offensive period of the season.
Oh, for sure. No doubt. And the fact, hey, Philip Kurashev, like another guy we talked about earlier, rookies, first goal.
Yep.
So congrats to Philip Kurashev. That was a nice one too. Just, sneak snipe, Bobrovsky wasn't really ready for it, and he just put it on him and went in. So, I mean, that was really nice. I am kind of mad at the first Florida game I didn't mention for the fact that Patrick Kane got a goal from a nice pass from Paiusuto on a spinner rim, and Q was like, no, not today. We're gonna challenge this, and they disallowed it. I'm like, that would have been such a great first point for Paiusuto, the spinner ram at a Kaner. He just buries it, but. Yeah,
it was clearly offsides, I will say.
Oh, so, it was.
Objectively, it was, but it was for the morale of the team at that time. So they didn't have anything going for them then. That may have been a jump starter, but it gets called back.
How about the power play though? Up to that point was just completely on fire, and Kubalik got 2 goals, both on the power play. And man, you have to admit those were absolute rockets.
Yeah. What did I just tell Alex about the value of having a big shot in your forward core?
I knew you were talking about because I'm like Dominic Kubalik. I do have to feel bad for Patrick. I think it's I forget his first name, but I think it's Stallman or Stillman. Took that first bomb from Kubalik off his visor and went in the net. That would have sucked if he didn't have a visor on, because that would have just completely domed him right in between the eyes. I'm glad that he had the visor on because that looked nasty. Yeah. Not in the good way nasty, but I mean, just Dominic. I'm just so glad to see Dominic Kubalik, doing what he does. And I still don't understand though why Jeremy Colleton does not play him on the power play enough or give him enough minutes. 30 goals last year in a short season. What are you doing?
I agree, and they should find a way to work him into it. But if you do remember, during training camp, the beginning stages of that, when they broke up power plays, they said they were going to have 2 different approaches. And PP1 was going to be more of passing, looking for scoring chances. Obviously, you have great distributors in Patrick Kane there, and I know people like to rag on him, but Adam Boquist is a good passer. But you got those guys there. And then the second unit was going to be the shooting unit. And originally, Brandon Peary was on there. He loves to fire away. I'm pretty sure he listens to the drunk dudes in 300 level that yell shoot on the power play. Then obviously you got Kubalik shot there. So that is one, at least for on being on power play too. That's one justification there. But the overall minutes, I agree, it has to go up. My other comment on Kubalik though was comes in bunches. We saw it last year, an unbelievable game like up at like Toronto, at Tampa. He's had those. So kind of quiet, but I do like to see him starting to pepper shots on. Even last night didn't record a goal, but had 5 shots against Detroit. So and he had 8 shots in one of the games. I think it might have been that Florida game.
It was that second Florida game. He had 8 shots and just got the 2 goals, and Kurashev scored, and Kaner with the backhand. I forget who it was. I think it was Mark Lazarus or someone said that the reason why Patrick Kane's backhand is so nice because he actually broke his wrist. Oh no, someone tweeted a convention from the convention one. I forget what year it was, where he said that he had his wrist broken. He was in a cast for I forget how long it was, and all he had to do was backhands, and that's why his backhand's so nasty, just because of the fact that just having his wrist broken and
They talked to Kubalik between the second and third periods because that King goal came in the second period. And Kubalik, it's funny, it comes full circle because when they interviewed him on there, because he had the power play goals ahead of that too. But he had said, if anyone else on the bench, we would break our wrists. So just funny how that comment kind of ties in.
Yeah, right. I mean, that was so great. And then Friday night, Blackhawks got their first win, and I'm so glad it was against Detroit because Detroit sucks. If anyone saw me on Twitter, if anyone saw me on Twitter, I did make a nice little phone wallpaper for all the Blackhawks fans to save that because Detroit sucks, and this rivalry is. I'm so glad we're playing them again because I'm still kind of upset they put them in the East because I don't know why you get rid of a rivalry like that, and the fact that we played so many games again, like I think it was like 740 last night was the total,
or
some ridiculous number.
They've played them the most of any other opponent regular season games. So.
Yeah. And for the fact it was a 4-1 win, I kind of wish we had the shutout, but you know what? I'm just glad we won the game.
Yes.
I mean, Patrick Kane once again scores, Patty doing Patty things. Calvin DeHaan with an absolute shot from the blue line.
More like Calvin DeBomb.
Hey, you know what? DeHaan shot first.
Yes.
And then Shawzy with the A last night, he gets a goal, and off that passing display that they did. I think every guy, I think they said all 5 guys touched the puck. Everyone was just passing it tape to tape, and just the fact that Shawzy got it was so fantastic. That was a great goal. And Janmark gets the empty netter. I would say, and then Kevin Lankinen, first win of his career. I mean, that kid looked so good, and I was tweeting this out. I know you guys saw it on everyone over there at Four Feathers. You guys kind of have to agree with this. Lankinen has to start tomorrow. I mean, you can't go for a performance like that. We just absolutely dominate. You give up 1 goal, and it was kind of like a whatever type thing. It's like that dude was on it last night. I don't know who would you give the net to after that performance like that. Subban hasn't played in a week. Delia gave up 10 goals in 2 games, and Lankinen just went lights out against. I mean, some people are like, "Well, it's Detroit." Detroit doesn't have a bad record. I mean, they can score goals too.
Yeah, it's not last year's Detroit team. And I would, yes, all right, so say they lost the game, I could see them going back to Subban for their rotational plans. We want to get more looks at these guys. He's only had 1, the other guys have had 2, yada, yada. I could see that. But now that he won and looked as, like I said, calm, cool, collected Kevin, like he is, now that he proved that and got the result there, and those numbers look great too. When you only let up 1 on 31 shots, save percentage is going to look good. Yes, and also take into consideration original 6 rivalry, national TV, 11:30 a.m. Central Time start. 12:30 out east where you guys are. National TV, absolutely have to go back to Lankinen. And then, if you go down to Nashville, and even if Lankinen wins tomorrow, I could easily see them going to Subban or Delia for game 1 of Nashville, just to keep that rotation going. But hey, for tomorrow, let the hot hand play.
Oh yeah, you kind of have to, and just that, and the fact that he also got the first star as well. And I loved how he went out. It was just hamming it up for the first star, like the fans were actually there. I mean, honestly, it's so weird though to see a United Center dead silent. I had chills, and it wasn't the good chills where you're like, "Ooh, I'm so excited." This was like, yo, what kind of horror movie am I in? And the fact that they had, Cornelissen tape his national anthem song, I'm like, what? Like, Jim Cornelissen is like a staple of all Hawks pre-games, and the fact that he's not actually there, it just felt so odd. But I'm just so glad that the Hawks finally got off the schneid, got that win. I was kind of sick and tired of tweeting the Blackhawks are the only team not to score a point for teams who've actually played a game this year, because that kind of sucked, being the only team with 0. I mean, we're not the worst team in the league now, but yeah, I'm just glad that won. I mean, was there anything else? Because I know you didn't. Because I know you weren't on the post game for Four Feathers last night. Like what were your thoughts overall, just with how good the power play's been, Lankinen, and just all that in general?
Yeah. So power plays, like the notes that you guys had in here, goals in 5 straight, first time since the early 90s, 7 for 17 on the season, 41.2%, good for 3rd in the league right now. But Dallas is 1, and they've only played 1 game. So the Blackhawks are really number 2, because that's such a small sample size. So I'll bump the Blackhawks up to only behind the Leafs at number 2 there. And so that's impressive, because that has been a sore spot for the Blackhawks for so long. So yes, that was great to see it get going. Kane right there on the doorstep for 1. Let's see. And then Lankinen overall, I mean, that is just in and of itself very well deserved 1 star. Glad he got his first win. And like I said, just kind of starting his journey here. Says he wants to be the number 1 guy. Played like the number 1 guy last night. Let's see him be the number 1 guy on Sunday too. I don't want to see any of the other 2 in net there. Other than that, I had comments on Andrew Shaw. And he's doing all the right things early. He's drawing penalties, getting to the net. He's creating space for his teammates. So it was nice to see him finally get rewarded And like you said, cool moment since he's wearing the A2.
Yeah.
Nice pass from Kaner, setting him up. He buries that thing right on the doorstep, right where he always is. So great to see a healthy, rejuvenated Andrew Shaw out there, playing a little bit less reckless, which I enjoy because you cut down on some dumb penalties, and then just obviously for his overall health. And avoiding concussions.
Yeah, because I think that was something that he talked about during the offseason, the fact that he got to spend so much time, because he missed a lot of last season with the concussion and stuff. And he said, like, being home with his family and just being around his daughter and stuff, it gave him a sense of the next step in his life, where he's not Andrew Shaw, the hockey player. He's Andrew Shaw, the husband, the father, spending time with his family. And I think he said that it calmed him down a lot. And we can see that because, like you said, not drawing a lot of penalties like he used to, not, getting in the box 5 times a game and stuff like that. And he's drawing penalties and he's doing all the stuff in front of the net that he's used to. I mean, everyone remembers the headbutt goal that wasn't actually counted, but it's good to see him back in front of the net. It's good to see him doing really well. It's just, Shawzy has been absolutely amazing too. It's been fun to see.
It's an otherwise pretty soft team for the most, when you're just talking about physicality. I know Nikita Zadorov is an exception there, but for the most part, up front, no one else is really gonna, be kind of a shit disturber. That's what I like to call him. And that's what he does, and he's doing it in a more reasoned way this year. So I really like what I've seen from him early. My other takeaway from this game, I don't want to get too deep into this, but we love Calvin DeHaan over at Four Feathers Podcast, and there's a backstory there. I know you tweeted back at me last night and said, you're wrong if you don't like DeHaan, and I totally agree there. But we are such big Calvin DeHaan supporters because when he was traded here, we were all, kind of excited about it, bolster the back end. And one of our guys is a really big fan. He had followed Carolina a decent amount, Ron Luce over at Four Feathers Pod. But when we all got together and watched opening day of the 2019-20 season, he brought us all Calvin DeHaan jerseys. So we all have them. And we took like a picture and tagged him, and he liked it and, retweeted it and whatnot. And then later right before everything shut down quarantine wise, right before the pandemic really hit, end of February, Calvin DeHaan makes beer. He's part owner of a craft brewery up in Carp, Ontario, where he's from. He did a collab with Goose Island in Chicago, their tap room just a couple blocks north of the UC, but it was a watch party for the Blackhawks, and Calvin DeHaan, Brent Seabrook, Zach Smith, and Andrew Shaw, all the guys that were out on IR for the year, were there. I went and I met all of them. Won an autographed Ridge Rock Brewing, that's his brewery up in Canada, hat. Took a picture with him, shot the shit with him, CBJ, Zach Smith, and Shaw, and it was awesome. And it was great, and he remembers us. We put out like a meme about him back when they were in the bubble. And he responded to us. So he DMs Four Feathers every once in a while. And after we took that picture the other night, because he made a great sprawling breakup against Florida. But great, we tweeted that, we're a pro Calvin DeHaan podcast. And I put the picture back up there. He DM'd us and said, hey, send those up to the practice rink. I'm going to sign them all for you guys. So,
dude, that's what's up, man. You got
full Calvin DeHaan support over at Four Feathers Pod. So everybody is welcome to get on the train, but we have an inside track on it.
If you're not pro DeHaan, I don't know what you're doing with your life. And we definitely got to somehow get a way to do a like DeHaan shot first hoodies or sweatshirts and stuff. If you guys do make those, guys, send me one of those, because how can you not do a DeHaan shot first, or make a nice Han Solo DeHaan reference with that?
So many ways you can
rock
go with
it, dude. That was just fantastic. I mean, but it was just so great. Like you said, 5 straight games, with the power play goals. That's fantastic. A complete reverse from last year, where our power play was our power play has been atrocious for a long time, but it's good to see the power play back. PK is kind of, they did go 5 for 5 last night, but they did go into it pretty bad. So I mean, they were tied for 26 when the game started. So maybe they moved up a little bit, but it's nice that the power play is finally showing up. It kind of seems the PK's kind of falling apart. I mean, Kaner's on a 5-game point streak. I mean, who's really shocked? It's Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
So
Patrick, that's hockey, baby. Showtime.
Yeah, he's gonna get 62 points. I've called the over. Someone's like, well, I think it was like what, over under 61.5. I'm like 62, 63. Kaner's gonna do it. He's gonna lead the team because that's what he does. So there is this, we kind of talked about a little bit about with Laine. Everyone knows that which no one knows why this contract was even made, but Subban got the extension for, I think it was like a couple seasons.
Yeah,
No one
2 years,
understands why.
$950K. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you have Delia. My question is for you, Jonnie. I know, Alex, I know you probably want to chime in at some point too. Do you think Kevin Lankinen at some point is going to make the Blackhawks go, well, Lankinen's doing really well. Do we possibly get rid of Subban or Delia and have Lankinen stay up? Because if he's going to play this well for us, why not keep him up? And I want to get your thoughts on that. You know, that with the tech squad this year, the AHL might come back in February. Do you see Lankinen possibly bumping one of those guys out and being like, all right, sorry, we'd love to have you both, but this guy's doing really well right now?
So short-term answer, I'll say no, because you are required to keep 3 goalies between the
Right.
NHL roster and the taxi squad. So short-term, no, all 3 of those will be there. I would imagine Subban probably gets banished to the taxi squad at some point. That would just be my guess. But in the long term, absolutely. Next year, I could easily see them cutting ties with that. Assuming things go back to normal and there's no mandate like they have this year for it. So, and it's just based on play alone. That's it. Kevin Lankinen wants to be the guy. I think he has the highest ceiling of any of them. I predicted on 4 Feathers. I think you'll get the most consistent play out of Delia this year, but you'll get the highest ceiling play out of Lankinen. So eventually, down the road, to answer your question in kind of a roundabout half-assed way. Right now, no. In the future, yes.
Yeah. I mean, with the tax squad, it's kind of hard to do that, but I think Subban, he never really did anything with Boston, didn't really do anything with Vegas. He played for 5 minutes last year. He didn't really. They talk about his rebound control got better. It didn't.
He's sub 9, man. Sub 9. Sorry, that don't cut it.
And the thing is, I forget who it was. I think it might have been James and Jay from Madhouse. They talked about that Lankinen is he's the good middle part of the consistent play of. He's not going to get too aggressive, but he's not going to get reckless. What you see with Subban or Delia played a lot of the puck way too much behind net. We saw how that happened, but he's not going to be all over the place like Subban is, where Subban's more of a flail type guy and stuff like that. So I think you guys talked about it too, was the Delia flail, where he's flopping around too much. He's not being, because we're so used to Crow being, he's going to square it up. He's going to take the shots. You're not really going to worry about him getting too crazy with it. And I think that's what Lankinen is. He's not super conservative, but he's also not super reckless. He's got that nice middle ground. And like you said, he definitely has that nice, because everyone's saying he's got the upside. He's got the upside that everyone knows he's going to be. And I honestly think, I've only been 2 games, but I think he has the potential to be the guy for the Blackhawks for the next however many seasons, because everyone knows that this guy is really good. Like I said, he won the MVP at World Juniors. This guy's going to be phenomenal. I mean, Alex, I know you're trying to watch more Blackhawks games. Do you have any thoughts about the goaltending situation? Because I know the girls at Slapshot Sweethearts talked about this craziness the Blackhawks have. What are your thoughts overall?
My thoughts are pretty simple. Subban sucks. Delia and Lankinen don't. So with that, my question to both of you is, both of them or all 3 of those goalies are eligible to be protected for the expansion draft. Who do you protect? Because in my opinion, Subban will not be protected, and they're going to just risk him being taken for Seattle. So that way Seattle can take that, whatever contract they decided to give him. They can take that. He's gone. So now it's Delia and Lankinen. Or do you protect Subban because he has the highest contract? If it were you guys' choices for the expansion draft, because you can only pick one goalie to protect, who would it be?
John, I'll let you go first on this one.
Lankinen, and I think it's just the plate that will dictate it. Obviously, they don't have to make that decision right now. And there could be catastrophic things that happen, an injury or something, and someone else as things stand and just their ceilings where they're at. Who's the guy that you foresee keeping around longest here? Because Delia is sure he's signed through this year, maybe next year, but other than that, it's not like a long-term commitment now, because these guys are still fairly young. Lankinen is still the most unproven, because if you remember a couple seasons ago, Daly got a little bit of a look with the Hawks when they had injury. Crow was dealing with concussions. I think Cam Ward was part of the mix too at that point. But
I forgot about that.
Daly did show some flashes, but right now, if you're thinking about the future and a guy that's really committing to it, Laine is who I would protect, no doubt.
Oh, same. That's not even. Don't even think about it. It's got to be Lincoln. I mean, Subban's contract, I think Johnny said it's like not even super high. I don't think it's even in the million range.
Yeah, the only thing that confused me was 2 years. I think you could have just thrown 1 year and
2 years. That's kind of that. Yeah, that kind of makes any sense. Like you had him for 5 minutes in the regular season, and that's absolutely And you're like, okay, we're going to extend you. Why?
Yeah. 1 year at that rate, that's fine. Whatever.
I mean. If Seattle takes him, great. I'm not going to be upset. I mean,
please.
I don't have a problem with Subban. I don't have problems with guys in general. I just don't see. I mean,
it's just the performance, man. It's the performance. You're sub 8. You're sub 9 for your career. You were highly touted. If you were going to reach that level, you'd grow into it by now. We know what you are. That's what it is.
You were a first round pick from the Boston Bruins. Did absolutely nothing. You did nothing in Vegas. I mean, you do have Marc-Andre Fleury, but it's like. Sorry. Hey, we're gonna get Robin Leonard. We're definitely gonna trade you. Why? But and of course, then he gets the extension because Stan Bowman, for some reason, doesn't know how to do a contract right. Which we can do a whole nother podcast just on contracts that Stan Bowman's done in general. But yeah, it's Lankinen, no doubt. Sign me up for a Lankinen forever.
So, one quick thing I saw before we get to the final things we have here. I saw this on Twitter, and I thought this would be a good question for both of you guys. A guy asked us on Twitter, and this was just in my feed. Should the Blackhawks consider trading Patrick Kane? And that's all it says. Take it how you see fit. You could think it's this year. I don't know if there's no timing on it or anything specified, but it's super vague. But I want to get you guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's you could go down a rabbit hole with this one. Consider it, absolutely. Should always be looking at offers, but then you go into the factors that would go into the logistics of making that trade. He would have to waive his no move clause. Another team would have to have the space, and willingness to take on all of that money. So you should absolutely explore it, but will he ultimately get moved, especially considering what Stan Bowman talked about with the core four staying around even through a rebuild here? It's not going to happen. That's just my take on it.
No, I don't think it's going to happen either. What Giants said, the contracts that not even just what Kane has, but what Taves has and Seabrook and Duncan Keith. So yeah, Seabrook's is about a year longer, but I don't think any team is going to take that type of contract. It's way too high, and like you said, you have to get rid of a no movement clause. Kaner's not going to move that. He's not going to waive that. He's been with Chicago's entire career. He wants to retire a Blackhawk. I think Taves does too. I think Dunks as well. I think all the guys are going to go through their contracts and then maybe see where we're at from there. I don't know. I doubt Seabrook's going to get another extent. I don't even know if he's going to finish out his. He might do a Marian Hossa and just get LTIR on his contract and just right into the sunset on someone else's roster, which is going to suck. But I mean, who knows? Because his development's gone way down and he's on IR still with the back injury. And I mean, honestly, no, Kanner's not going to get moved. He's not even going to waive his clause. I mean, you should be open to like what Johnny said, but in reality, no, that's not going to happen. Patrick Kane's going to be a Blackhawk until he retires. That depends on if it's at the end of this contract or if it's after whatever extension that he gets with the Hawks at a reasonable deal that will make more room to get other guys on the team, which I think is basically what everyone's waiting for now is all those contracts to get done in about a couple seasons.
There are way too many moving parts to move a $10.5 million contract in the COVID era. Kind of discussion. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And if they actually somehow get him to waive it and trade him, think of the haul you're going to have for a certain team to have to get a guy like Patrick Kane, who's almost ready to hit 1,000 points. He's about ready to hit 400 goals, and he still has it in the tank. That trade, you would have to almost do a 3-team or a 4-team trade just to even somehow make that work, because Patrick Kane's level he's still in the heart race he's in almost every offensive race constantly. Some team would have to give up so much for him, and I think that's gonna make it really hard. I mean, Jonnie, like, would you agree with that if there was a team that somehow made it work, like, you would have to admit what they had to give up would be insane.
It'd be astronomical from draft capital and NHL ready right now players.
Oh, you would have to. You would have to do a mix of
You'd have to have both. You'd have to have both. And I'm not talking depth draft capital. I'm talking like first and second rounders. Multiple.
Oh, yeah. Multiple.
Like I said, just get down to the logistics of it. Think about, in theory, sure, whatever. Hawks are rebuilding. They need to move off these big contracts. They need to move on to the next phase, yada, yada. Sure, in theory, great. Think about the actual logistics of getting it done, and it ain't happening. That's it.
Like I said, Kane, Taves, Dunks, Seabrook, all Blackhawks by the time their contracts are done, and whatever extensions 3 of them get, or 2. So next question. We did talk about this a little bit earlier. Do you think Karlsson or Kalynuk is going to get a start this season? Obviously, they are going to. My question is when, because Boqvist he's been struggling this year. He kind of looks like the Boqvist of the bubble. He is a really good he's a good passer overall, but it seems like he honestly needs a break because for whatever reason, he's tentative. He looks like he's just caught off guard all the time. And I mean, do you see, like, when do you think Karlsson or Kalynuk is eventually going to get us? Because I know we kind of talked about it on Twitter that we thought Kalynuk was going to start against Detroit, and that didn't happen. Like, when do you think either one of those guys or both those guys are going to eventually suit up for the Hawks this year? Because they're both on the taxi squad right now.
Yeah, so I was actually a little bit surprised that Kalynuk did not get the call on Tuesday after Adam Boqvist's benching in the second period of Sunday's game. Those were both against Florida. I was surprised by that, but just think to the next time it's going to happen, because it's going to happen with Adam Boqvist. I think you get to another thing that is very blatant. Luckily, he's been a couple of games without lapses here, so that's good to see. At least not benchable for a full period at a time lapses. Obviously there's always going to be little miscues in the play. But it's going to happen again. Just give it a couple games, wait for it. And I think the first one up you'll see is Wyatt Kalynuk, because they really need to see what they have with him. I know Lucas Karlsson's a good, he had a decent training camp and he had some action at the end of last year, actually even got into a playoff game against Vegas, but they have not seen Kalynuk. He was a Flyers draft pick, played out all of his college at Wisconsin. So he's got that little bit of an experience. And on the Four Feather season preview, I said he's probably first guy up there. So I wouldn't be shocked in maybe 3-4 games when you get another Boqvist tank job and you'll see Kalynuk. So that's just my thought on when these other defensemen get in. I don't know
it's interesting because I don't know what it is. Because I know Boqvist did get a little bit better when he was with Duncan Keith. I guess if he was with Sadorov for whatever reason, it didn't work. It's like I said, I like Adam Boqvist, and it's been well known that because if you look back at the draft, they asked him, how long do you think it's going to be before you're in the NHL? He said 2 to 3 seasons. He was there in a season, if that. So, and then we all know that was John McDonough, the former, I think it was president of, I forget his title. It was some ridiculous thing. It was just,
he was president.
Yeah. And everyone knew that it was kind of his thing to meddle in trades, meddle in contracts, meddle in call-ups and all that stuff. Because for a reason, he couldn't just separate his job with what Stan was doing. Because
it's all about selling tickets for him. So
yeah, pretty much. And everyone's like, oh, well, the team's struggling. Let's get Adam Boqvist up. And everyone's like, wait, why? He's not ready yet. And of course, it was clearly seen. And now we're 2.5 seasons in. He technically should be like this fall. This should be the year he might get a look to join the NHL squad. And now he's been there for 1.5 years now. And you're just like, this guy's still the same dude from the bubble who kind of just looked lost, and he still looks lost this year. It's like I said, I don't want to bail on the kid because he was an 8th overall pick. It's just, and I know you guys talked about it. I know other podcasts have talked about it. When the AHL does come around, do you honestly think that the Blackhawks should possibly send him down to the A and be like, you know what, we're just going to give you 22, 24 minutes a night. Just relax, figure your thing out, play the 24 games or however long you're going to be down there. We're going to, just give you a break and just let you develop like you were supposed to. Do you think the Blackhawks are going to do that? Or do you think at this point it's like, we've had them up for too long, we can't send them down?
So if you ask my panelist on Four Feathers, Ron Luce, he'll say absolutely you should be in the A yesterday. That's his response to that. But this is what I look at. First of all, circumstantial factors, and take COVID into account. Guys are going to get injured. You might have a positive test here and there. For that alone, I think that leaves Boquist up for the most part this year. And then also what was telling for me was Jeremy Colleton's decision to play him again on Tuesday. Like I said, from when we had said on Sunday after his second period benching that he, would likely be out of the lineup. That was kind of my thought on it at that point. The fact that Jeremy Colleton had the faith to go back to him that next game. And, he's done a little bit assist-wise. He has 3 apples this year, and he's getting some time on the power play. I know he's taken off for a little bit during that whole shitstorm of the second period at the first game at Florida. But then he did return to it, though. So they are giving him the opportunity to come back in. So, no, I don't think it will happen. Should it? Maybe you can make a case for the development there. But just given the uncertainties of COVID and they're showing faith in him already so far this season, I would say he stays. That's just my opinion on it, though. I could be totally wrong, but it's just kind of how I see taking everything into consideration, just how I see it playing out.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, it's just an interesting situation how it worked out. I mean, it just kind of stings the fact that they bar him up too early, and it's just now they put himself in a pickle of like, all right, well, if we keep him up, cool. If not, we're kind of backlogged on guys on the tax squad because we talked about Carlson and Kalanick, and this goes into the next question. We still have Brent Seabrook, and I know he's on LTIR right now. When he does come back, are we going to see him? Are we going to put a guy who's won 3 Stanley Cups and has got this massive contract? Are they going to see him on the taxi squad, or do you think that the Blackhawks might possibly have to trade someone off the main roster to get room for Seabrook? Because I don't see him being a healthy scratch most nights or taxi squad. I mean, what are your thoughts overall? Because that's going to be more of a massive hurdle to clear once we get Siebes back.
Yeah, so I think it depends on, first of all, play of these defensemen and which ones would look like intriguing options. So other teams have to take into account their salary caps and the situations because, as much as I love Calvin DeHaan, but, he would be a good trade piece for the player that he is. But the contract's also a little hefty. It may be too much for other teams to take on for a defenseman there. If the Blackhawks trade, I would think it'd be more out of the forward core. Like a Soderberg, as soon as he gets in this mix, Lucas Wallmark, Matthias Janmark, all 1-year deals, very easily tradable. A little bit harder on the back end, given years and just the amount of money that some are getting. So I think, first of all, we have to see how that plays out. We're still in the early stages here.
Oh, yeah.
So
Sure.
That, like I said, circumstantial factors there. And then with Siebes, he'll get the old vet. I was talking about how much with the NBA, I hate this, but he'll get the old vet sit play combo. And they can, the thing is, they can shuttle guys from taxi squad to active roster without having to clear waivers there. So there's, no restrictions there really. Once they're in that group there, it would only be to send a guy from the NHL to the A like normal that they would have to clear waivers. So
I think there's another stipulation too. I think if you were there are some exemptions, but I think you have to clear. I think you have to clear waivers, and you have 30 days or 10 games to shuttle back and forth. I think some guys have that. I don't know if it works with guys with no move clauses. That whole situation is crazy. So
yeah, so I mean, you could see maybe a trade out of the depth. Maybe they make a trade and a D prospect is included in one of those. Maybe like a Lucas Carlson or someone if they don't foresee them having a role. Maybe even flipping Alec Regula again. I'd like to see that guy get a shot eventually, but he seems lower on the totem pole here. But then you are going to see Brent Seabrook. Like I said, it's probably not going to be very consistent, and he might even be healthy scratches sometimes, but you got to see what Bionic Siebes brings to the ice. Just the stature, the status that he has, the contract that he has, and injuries are imminent. Another thing, injuries and COVID are imminent this year. It's gonna happen. So you have, Connor Murphy has COVID, and Nikita Zadorov, hit someone too hard and ran his elbow into the board and has to sit out for 3 games. That's when you see Brent
Yeah.
Seabrook re-enter. So
Yeah.
long-winded response there, but just like the season, a lot of moving parts,
Yeah,
a lot
for
of
sure.
variables.
Yeah. I don't want to get deep into this, but the Seabrook hate that he gets for his contract, it's not his fault. That's Bowman giving him a contract because of what he did. People need to stop giving Seabrook so much crap for it. That's
Yeah,
just
if you want a reassurance, when I met Siebes at that Calvin DeHaan beer event, I gave him a fist pound and I said, "Hey, don't let the shit or anything ever get you down. We appreciate you here in Chicago." So I did reassure him in person.
yeah. When you have the core four that we have, yeah, I don't care what their contract situations and stuff like that. They got us 3 cups. You love
Hockey
them
glory.
regardless.
Hockey glory, baby.
Exactly. So I got one more question. We did talk about depth forwards, guys and stuff like that. We saw Hagel come up finally. He looked phenomenal last night. He was doing a lot of things that you would love to see out of a third line, fourth line guy, just busting his balls the whole game, just doing all the necessary things that showed you that he wants to. He's basically the anti Alex Nylander, where he actually wants to, bust his nuts the entire game and actually play. I mean, at some point, do you think that Hagel might just be that guy's like, yeah, you need me. You're taking me off this main roster because Alex is out right now and he's eventually going to come back at some point. We got Soderbergh coming back because his visa thing is finally figured out and fixed. He's on quarantine and all that too. I mean, but do you think Hagel? Oh my gosh, do you think Hagel is going to make enough of a case at some point this year where he's like, yeah, you're going to need me on this roster. You can't take me out of it, because he's going to be that guy that's like an Andrew Shaw 2.0 without all the penalties that come with his play of just going in front of the net and just busting ass the entire game.
Yeah, so I think it depends on, first of all, the early signs say yes. To answer, yeah, I mean, he's making a case for himself. His compete level is really high. He gets in deep. He's great on the forecheck, and he has some more hands. People forget that he led Rockford in goals with 19 tallies last year, and he was third in points overall, like 31 or 32, something like that.
Yeah,
so he does have a little bit of that touch that people are forgetting about, and obviously it's a different role that he's playing here. But I guess that comes down to, when Soderbergh does eventually enter this lineup, because he will at some point, veteran, 1-year contract, whatever.
Yeah.
Are you willing, then, think about your fourth line options, are you willing to bench either David Kampf or Ryan Carpenter, who aren't flashy by any means, but they each bring their own strengths defensively?
I mean, and it's a solid fourth line too. I mean, they've done really well for the most part. I mean, there are some nights they were the best line, which is not really what you want to have as your best line as your fourth line. But it definitely makes it interesting. I'm just glad Hagel got that chance and he's doing the best of it. So I'm excited to see what else he does. He really looks good for the Blackhawks. So the last kind of topic we're going to touch on, if anyone didn't watch the game, they did the whole special tribute. There was a couple things they did. They did a special tribute to the frontline workers. A lot of them had their names on the back of their jerseys, and they did the stick salute before the game. Usually it's after the game, but no fans, so the Blackhawks want to do something different with that. But they also did, a tribute video that they're going to do throughout the season. Bring in some light onto their connections with the Native American tribes all around Chicago area, Illinois, and stuff like that. And I think it was really amazing. And it's really cool to see that the Blackhawks are going to do a lot of the honoring that and the connections with, just the culture and the, recognizing the people of the land and stuff like that. I mean, Johnny, like, what did you think overall with that tribute view? Because I thought it was amazing that the Hawks are going to do that this year, and they're going to do that for pretty much every. I think they're going to do it before every game this year. Like, what are your thoughts overall with just that video and what the initiative that the Hawks are going to do with the tribes overall and the three Fire Nation tribes?
Yeah, no, I saw that, and the it's following through on action. They put out the acknowledgement back over the summer when there were heated times in the country, and names are getting come after. The Indians are changing their name in baseball. The Washington Redskins are no more. The Blackhawks were probably next on the order there, but it is about education and getting it out to the talked about the Willie O'Ree stories early, very at the beginning of this podcast. It's getting in there, that information, so people are more understanding of the situation that is. And that's what they're doing here. So credit to the Blackhawks 100% on following through and the outreach that they've done within this, because obviously within the video, it featured there many times both symbolism and members of respective tribes. And then another thing I saw that was really cool about this is when you're talking about the graphic design in the video, and, you know, they kind of showed on NBC Sports Chicago when they were showing the intro video, and they kind of showed a video of the screen, and you had other stuff spinning around on the new massive scoreboard that they have there,
which is nice. Which is nice, by the way.
Yeah, it is beautiful. All that graphic design though was done by Patrick Hunter, who is a member of one of these Ojibwe. I don't want to mispronounce this. If I am, forgive me, but Ojibwe artist and graphic designer who did all of these. And if you remember that 7 sort of feather thing there, that interesting design that looked kind of, you know, like a feather, but there were plenty of offshoots of it.
Yeah, that was really cool.
What those represent are let's see, the teachings from indigenous nations throughout Turtle Island. They say that invite us to live our lives with bravery, truth, humility, love, wisdom, respect, and honesty. So the 7 keys of that feather. I thought that was really cool. Really interesting detail there, and explanation for it. To even find that, I just went on the Blackhawks website, and they have like the explanation for the video. So I think it's about getting the information out there, and the whole just reason behind Blackhawk, because it was a Sauk war leader. That is what the name comes after. Blackhawk, 2 words. That's why the original name was Black Space Hawk. Not Blackhawks, all one word as it is now. So it just gives people a better understanding, and ultimately at the end of the day, that's what they're doing, and it's a land acknowledgement, the whole point of that video. So kudos to them for following through on it. I'm totally for it, and I'm glad that they're taking these steps to not be the next name that is canceled for something like this, just because I think that'd be a shame, just given the history and tradition. And now they can even talk about the origins of it even more and make that public. So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, I think so too. For the fact that they, like you said, when they talk about over the summer, not wearing headdresses, don't want to be disrespectful, all that stuff, which is really nice. I mean, I did the fact that someone, vandalized one of the statues outside the stadium, which was absolutely just hard to see. But just what they're doing overall with this whole, the land tribute video and all that stuff, which is amazing. And this is really something cool that we're going to be doing here on the podcast here over the next few weeks. We actually got the Native American Guardians Association actually reached out to us, and they wanted to join the podcast at some point to raise their voice on, just their whole thing is about educating, not eradicating, and that they're talking about like they're happy about representation in sports and stuff like that, with logos and names of teams, the Blackhawks, the former Washington Redskins, the Seminoles and stuff like that. There's a lot of people who are Washington football team fans who are okay with the name and they like the logo. And then their whole thing is about educating the people of like they love the representation of the names and stuff like that. It's other issues that need to be more taken care of. And so we're really excited to be having to bring them on to the podcast at some point. I know, like what you said, Johnny, when you were talking about just the acknowledgement of what the Blackhawks are doing. I think that's great that you see what the Blackhawks are doing with this initiative. I mean, it's so great.
Yeah, like I said, it's following through on action. So, you can read in the front office all you want for dumb contracts and stuff, but the direction they're taking with this, kudos to them. Like I said, for sure. Follow through to provide further education and keep it going. So, for sure. All for it.
Yeah, man, I know this has been a longer podcast than we thought it was going to be. I mean, Alex, man, do you got any final thoughts? I mean, I know we talked a lot about Blue Jacket stuff, Blackhawks tonight. We did talk about Willie O'Ree and the girls of the NWHL, man. Do you have anything to add on before we, sign off for the night?
PLD still sucks. No,
fair
man.
enough,
It's been a busy week. I'm excited to get that Native American group on here, talk to them, and be able to push that education out a little bit to everybody. I think it's really cool to be able to get that, with the Then with the NWHL starting up, I think it's really
Mhm.
cool to, to be able to promote that. I think I told you earlier, my daughter has been so excited to watch this because she keeps asking, if she can play hockey like, Cam, because Cam Atkinson is her favorite player. So she keeps
Mhm.
asking, can I play with her? It's like, of course you can. And then she keeps asking, well, where are the girls playing? Well, now I can be like, hey, look, here's all these games, all these girls are playing. And, I could have pulled something up on YouTube and things like that. But, it's really cool to be able to, have that recognition that I think everyone deserves. So a lot of the women's leagues are severely, they don't have the recognition they need to have. Especially, it's a professional sports league. Either way, it's the National Women's Hockey League. It's not some Pee-wee league in the middle of Denver. It's a national league.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's, I don't have too much else. The Blue Jackets are hopefully going to get back on the right track. The Blackhawks, the game last night, they looked really well, and hopefully we can get going until next week when we smack you around for 2 games. Then
All right. Yeah, we're gonna have to do something special for those
Yeah.
games because we're not gonna let a Blue Jackets Hawks game go by without us doing something a little
No.
special. But you guys stay tuned for that. We're not gonna reveal how we're gonna do that, but be on the lookout for a little something. Johnny, man, like I said, thanks for jumping on, man. Plug away, you and everyone over at On Tap and Four Feathers podcast, because like I said, I enjoy your guys' content every week. I listen to every episode and stuff like that. Just to get you on in general has been fantastic. So take it away, man. Where can we find you and all the boys over there at Four Feathers and On Tap?
Yeah, thanks, Zach. I'm honored to be the first guest here on Cannons and Tomahawks Podcast here. So, really exciting to, we had a great conversation here tonight, but I am part of the Four Feathers Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Four Feathers Pod, and we are the Blackhawks coverage unit for On Tap Sportsnet, and that's a venture with me and several other friends that we're committed to, providing coverage and reaction episodes for every Chicago sports team. So, if you're listening to this and you're a Hawks fan of the Bears, Bulls, Hawks, Cubs, Sox, all those as well. You can go and find us at On Tap Sportsnet on Twitter and Instagram. And then ontapsportsnet.com is where all of our articles are posted there. And we have a podcast tab that has them all organized there for you. So, and then my personal Twitter is at Nonnie Jonnie, Nonnie Jonnie. You can follow there for various commentary on Blackhawks stuff around the NHL, and then I'm also a big White Sox fan too. So I do some contributions on a White Sox podcast as well. So be ready for that mixed in there. But if you just want the Hawks stuff, I'm on at Four Feathers Pod 90% of the time. So you can find me there. And then you had final thoughts here. My final thoughts are Alex DeBrincat is starting the bounce back season. He's off to, a decent start here at a couple apples. Last night, he's obviously had a few power play goals. We need to keep speaking this into existence. We can't let the unlucky shooting percentages and stuff come back. So all Hawks fans, please join me and Zach in speaking the Alex DeBrincat bounce back season into existence. And other than that, the only thought I got is thanks again for having me on so much, both Alex and Zach, and let's go Hawks.
Yeah, let's go Hawks for sure, man. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm the only Chicago team I followed the Red Stars for the NWSL, and then obviously the Blackhawks. I'm from Northeast Ohio, so I am all the Cleveland teams. So I'll probably give you guys a good shtick about whenever it's the White Sox Indians. Of course, you guys look a lot better than we do, but that's a different podcast for a different time. But
I just had to throw that out there as a forewarning because during hockey season, it'll pretty much be all Hawks and other NHL games that I'm watching on NHL TV. But come baseball season, I do have a half season ticket plan for the White Sox. So it's exciting time there on the south side of Chicago. So just beware. You can go and unfollow me during baseball season and come back during hockey season. I won't be offended, but
I'll just talk trash to you the entire time, and then you'll just remind me. Yeah, you'll remind me like, hey, who's your special players outside of Bieber, Plesac, and Ramirez? And I just look at you like, so about the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
But no, man, yeah, like I said, it's great having you on and stuff like that.
We'll have a good time with it.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone can find me on Twitter at RyTribe22. That's RYTRIBE 22. Might change that at some point. Might more make it Hawk Central, just because that's kind of more of what we're leaning toward, what I'm leaning towards in terms of my Twitter content and stuff like that. But Alex, man, where can we find you? And of course, as always, where can we find our podcast on the socials and the podcast stuff, man?
Yeah. I know for the next couple months, you'll be able to find me in my hate mail and PLD's DMs. But if you want to find me straight on Twitter, it's going to be Nuttle, NUTTLE _CBJ. While you're at it, go ahead and give Zach and I a follow. Give Jonnie and the Four Feathers podcast a follow as well. You can find the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast at Cannahawks Pod on Twitter. You can also find us on YouTube at Cannons and Tomahawks Podcast, and as well on Facebook. And you can also hear all of our podcasts on all of your podcasting platforms that you listen to on a regular basis.
Yep, Spotify, not Facebook, jeez, iTunes and all that stuff. Apple. Leave a comment, leave a 5-star rating and review. If you actually leave us a written review, you will actually be on the show, because we actually do have a 5-star rating, but no one left us a review. So if you want to get shouted out on the podcast, write a review for us. We might just feature you on the show. So make sure to follow that, and also make sure to follow Belly Up Sports and Belly Up Hockey and all their sports stuff that they cover too, and all the other podcasts. It's a great time for us to be over there enjoying with them, and of course everything with going on with those guys too. It's going to be pretty special. So
yeah, just make it easy. Go to Twitter. Just make it easy. Go to Twitter, search Belly Up, and follow literally everything that shows up.
Exactly. That's the easiest way to do it.
Well, guys, it's been fun. Jonnie, again, glad we were able to get you in here and talk to you for a little bit. It's been a blast. I'm sure we'll have you on at some point again, and hopefully the Jackets beat the Blackhawks 8 times this year.
Yeah, great times. Hey, I'm looking forward to some of the banter that comes out of that, because like I said, most of the market around me, it's all Chicago. I'm an Illinois boy. I'm from the burbs. I went to school at University of Illinois, so it's all pretty sheltered in terms of fandom there. So excited to get in banter on the Twitter machine with you a little bit, Alex, and me and Zach will give it to you when DeBrincat scores a hattie.
Exactly, and Lincoln and Sens on his head gets a couple shutties against you guys too, so that's gonna look really nice.
Well, when Laine's coming in scoring 12 goals a game, I don't think that's gonna happen, but yeah, we'll see.
I'm excited to see him with Columbus, just random on there since you brought him up. I'm excited to see that.
That's gonna be fun. I like how that kid who's coming back who's from Columbus. Was it
Roslovic?
His jersey number is gonna be 96, first time in team history, and the way the number looks in the jersey looks pretty nice in my opinion. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, it's been a fun episode, and all of you guys that are listening, hope you have a great rest of your day. Go Jackets, go Hawks, and have a good one, guys.
Peace out. Go Hawks.
See you.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.